What is up, Outlaw Nation? We are back again. This is, of course, the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow on John Rocha's YouTube channel on the Outlaw Nation. I'll be one of your hosts today. My name is Boggs. I'm with my girl Sol, as always. How are you doing today? So it's been a long time. We ain't done a show in a few weeks, 3 weeks. Well, the week before Spectacular, probably. So how you doing? How's your life post Spectacular? How's everyone doing in the chat as well? Shout out to everyone. I'll address that in a second. But first, so how you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk about some of these matches today. Excited for the guests that we have on. We got some pretty good guests, and I've missed talking Schmoedown with you. It's been a while.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. Feel a bit lost without it now, but we'll see. We'll have a catch up today, and then we'll kind of look forward to next season as well. But yeah, just got to remind everyone, please like the video. Obviously, Roka's on his kind of journey to 20,000 subscribers. I think it's 19.7 last time I checked. So obviously subscribe if you haven't. Join us on Twitter. Our super chats and Streamlabs are open. So if you do have any specific questions you want to ask, John Rocha or the Outlaw or Thomas Harper, the Star Wars champ, please feel free to send that. Obviously, put it in the chat if you want. If you can't obviously do that, then Streamlabs and super chats are open. But yeah, let's give a brief overall. Well, first of all, do you want to shout the comments on the last video that we done? It was a while ago, so it might not be too relevant now, but we want to respect obviously the people making the effort to do so. And that's a reminder as well, if you want to obviously leave a comment after the fact, after this video, and we'll shout you out on the next episode as a bit of fun. So so please go ahead.
I like the fact that you said you can ask John Rocha or ask the Outlaw. So because we're just saying they're two separate people, so you can ask either or. But going to our comments, Jeremy Miller, he's a staple here. We love you here because you're always commenting. He says, great show with the Barbarian. Can't wait to see him contending for a singles belt in season 9. Barbarian, so good. Sure. And then we have Drunken Prayer going, always great to have the Barbarian on. As always, apologies for always forgetting to comment, but I always hit that like button. Thank you, Drunken Prayer.
That's good enough. That's good enough, sir.
And then Joey Steelers goes, when's your next show? You guys doing a season 8 closing show? Right now, Joey Steeler, right now we're doing it.
I told you earlier, but yeah, we're here now, right? That's the main thing. We press go live and we're live. That's it.
And then we have Soul Warrior, and this is a pretty long comment. It's not me. It's it's, as I joke, the UK version of me because there's a U in it. Okay. But he or she says, I haven't been a fan of the Finstock Exchange at the start of the season, and I don't want to be a shill that just switches teams towards the end of the season and start rooting for the winning faction. However, I can't deny what the Barbarian and Tom, and to a certain degree Rocha as well, have pulled off this season is nothing short of extraordinary. This faction has obviously been putting in the work, not just during the season, but also at the start prior to the season. When you think about how Craig was called out by Bateman and others for sticking with Finstock, and people completely disregarding the exchange and calling it a joke faction, and now they're sitting on top of the standings, like I said, truly remarkable. More than anything else, I believe that their win-loss record is the biggest accomplishment. Under the old point systems, there wouldn't even be a question of who's about to finish in first place. I'm often rooting for the Barbarian. I think it's impossible to dislike him. Griffey Nooms is a true gem, and I want to thank everyone in the exchange for gifting us with this new and exciting player that will hopefully become a mainstay for years to come on the Schmoedown.
Wow. Well, what an essay. Not even a comment. That was a nice essay. Obviously, that was before Spectacular as well, so, not all of that is, applicable for now because, he said that they were top of the standings. Obviously, they didn't win the faction race and stuff, but some great points there. Kind of should reread that with Rocha when he's here because he'll probably appreciate some of that. But yeah, want to give our overall thoughts on Spectacular. In fact, let me just shout out some people in the chat right now. Shout out to Galaxy Geeks. Thanks for coming. Shout out to Ryan Christensen, who says, hey, all was finally financially able to join Rocha's Patreon today. Very excited. Awesome, my guy. You will not regret that. Such a cool group of people. There's leagues here. There's, a lot of people got their own YouTube channels. You're going to have fun with that. Don't worry about that. Anyone else wants to join? Obviously, patreon.com/John Rocha. So if you can point, there you go. And the Streamlabs link is up there as well. But I want to give our overall thoughts on Spectacular. We do have, just to address as well, John Barr, our main host, is not here today. He's traveling back to Philly. So he's not going to be on today. So yeah, go Philly. Is that a thing? So is that a team?
Yeah. There is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Philadelphia 76ers and the Philadelphia Phillies. So, I mean, yeah, I guess.
There we go. Shout out to a few more people in the chat. I think Jaws Walker, 9, Jeremy Miller, Alan Smithy, Justin Toner. Shout out to everyone watching, and everyone watching after the fact as well. I want to get our producers on as well. You know, I want to hear everyone's thoughts on Spectacular. So Sean, come on down. Mike, come on down. And let's have our overall thoughts on Spectacular as well. Just confirm as well, Sean was there at Spectacular. He had
in the front row.
Yeah, he had the top tier ticket. I forgot what it's called. Just want a couple of minutes, Sean. You can spend, tell us what your overall experience was like. Tell us your best bits of the show. Maybe a couple of things that happened off camera that was, you know, we don't get to experience. And maybe if you want to, I don't know, give them a bit of feedback or anything, something that you didn't like. I'm not saying you didn't not like anything, but you know, now's your time to, you know, to fess up. But no, please go ahead. Tell us about Spectacular because we're all super jealous.
No, I think the best part was just meeting everybody. Like the expo at that beforehand, just kind of meeting John and all the other different. It's hard to remember exactly how many competitors were there, but like just kind of feeling the energy of the crowd during the Spectacular, and I think they kind of pumped down the audience noise during the stream, so it's really hard to tell. But the crowd was really, really loud. Even they have to be told, like in between, like some of the questions, hey, like calm down. You can be rowdy during the after the question is answered, but during the question, just calm it down. So the energy was just incredible, especially towards the end, which we'll talk about with Chandru and Kevin Smets. I think that was the loudest it got when he came down the aisle. But I guess that was, for me, that was just the best part, was the end, to be honest, because I wasn't quite sure what exactly they would do to preview season 9. I knew they were going to do something, but the idea of just like, because it's at one point it seemed like they weren't. I was just like, they were almost like wrapping up. I was like, wow, they're really not going to do anything. And then seeing Chandru run out, literally like run out and slide out and just kind of like ripping his shirt off. I was just like, okay, he's fully committed. Like, again, it was hard to tell, but he was getting booed to no end. And I was just sitting there laughing my ass off because I was like, this man is not an actor, but he's doing his best to get the reaction out of the crowd, and it worked. So and when he like ripped his shirt off, I was just like, okay, all right, fully committed. That's great. But yeah, to me, it was just more or less just the atmosphere of the crowd, which was the most exciting thing for me.
That's great. Yeah, and you know, like, and as well, like, obviously he's not an actor. His faction finished bottom of the standings, and he's still, like, you know, hyped up on stage and stuff. Yeah, I want to fight. Yeah, definitely made me laugh. And yeah, we'll go Mike next. Obviously, we've not heard your thoughts on Spectacular. Yeah, tell us your best bits, any standout moments. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, it gave me such great nostalgic flashbacks to when I was at the Chicago event. And remembering and kind of reliving vicariously that energy, and watching people in this crowd who just obviously have been dying, begging, pleading to be able to go to one of these again. I know we've had a couple of the ones at like the Cantina Bar there in California, and those have been fun, but it's a smaller place. It's still kind of weird to go to this big proper, you know, live theater again, and seeing everything just cranked up to 11 was so awesome. It really felt like, for the first time in 2 years, like, okay, Schmoedown's back, baby. Like we're back again. And then yeah, everything with Chandru and Smets there at the end was just, I mean, somebody needs to turn that into a liquid and put it in an IV drip for me, because I need that like right now.
Yeah, I miss Smets. You know, like, even when he came, but I know that's an easy thing to say, but when I saw him, I was like, the guys, I messaged Soul. I forgot what I said exactly, but he's got like, he's a good performer, you know, charisma and all that. So he just like natural, you know, stage presence. I thought, oh, that's the game's missed that. So yeah, it's definitely great to see him back. And please, my Latina sister from another mister, what's your thoughts on Spectacular? Yeah, let us know. Obviously, your boy Chandru trying to steal the show. as usual.
Yeah,
But yeah, let us know what
but I loved the theatrics that a live show can bring you, and love seeing the entrance of Thomas Harper. He looked so badass. Love seeing Rocha's entrance with some of the Outlaw Nation in there. I love seeing Outlaw Nation in the first row. Every time they panned to the audience, I was just like, I know them. But and yeah, Chandra at the end too. And I loved, like, when he ripped his shirt off, I was like, whoa. And I was like, maybe he'll get some fans from that, because it seems like he's been working out. So good on you, Chandra.
Chandra jacked.
It was surprising.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely for me, some of the standout moments were, like, I kind of geeked out when I saw Matt Nost, like, just coming on stage, you know, the top 10 boom by. I've not heard that in years, right? And you know, Scott Mance being there. And you know, when the kind of Outlaw Nation guys walked out with Rocha again, I didn't know who some of them were. Obviously, I kind of guessed Ryko because his beard was like out of his mask, and he was like running to the camera. I saw he was like so excited, and then I was trying to recognize everyone else, and I saw John's hat that he wears on the show, and I was like, "That's John Paul!" And like, it's just so funny. Like, only a handful of people would have known that, and I was like, "Oh, that's John Paul!" Like, he was right behind Rocha. I just thought, "Oh, that was yeah." Like, it made it like the few of us who knew. Like, I was so happy for John, well, both Johns. But yeah, definitely, I was such a nice surprise. And yeah, the crowd looked like they were loving it. And exactly what you said, Mike. It's been such a long. It's a different game when it's like that, right? When it's this live event, and you know, and the surprises, and yeah, the crowd get involved and stuff.
Leo
yeah, exactly.
Logan.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm a five and stuff. But Sean, yeah, what was your, like, let's say just matches wise? What was your kind of favorite match or kind of best moments just from matches? Let's say.
I also liked Mike's conversation that he had before his match. Kind of like how he's just like, oh, let me just sit down and explain to you guys like how I'm going to be Parker. Like that whole thing of just like, and then obviously his comment afterwards was the crowd got a kick out of what he said, what he was going to do with his manager, but.
That Parker can't do with his.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to go back to what Soul said about Thomas Harper, and obviously we'll talk to him in a little while. It's hard to, like, when you're on a stream, it's hard to gauge how big a person actually is. That man is a soldier, and like it may sound like funny when I say that, but he is a living, breathing soldier. Like if he had a rifle in his hand, it just looked like he came out of some battle zone or something. Like he was dressed up to fight combat. And obviously he came to do movie trivia, but and I love his heel turn during the whole thing, and obviously we'll talk to him about that as well. But just his presence and everything, and the Pledge of Allegiance and everything, like that was just like mwah. It was just so good. The crowd ate it up, and I don't know if they were necessarily expecting it, so just kind of like, oh, where is this going? And I was just loving it. I was just sitting there like eating it up, because like you weren't expecting his heel turn, so I was like, I enjoyed it so much. But yeah, like that, the Mike stuff, obviously we talked about Chandru and Smets, but the match specifically that I enjoyed the most was the Inner Geekdom match and the Star Wars match, because I think those were the most like back and forth, like you're not quite sure exactly who's going to win those. And I think we kind of predicted that those were going to be really high contested, and I think they were, especially considering the IG match went to sudden death. I do think, which we'll kind of go over there, I think Parker kind of got way too ahead of himself. Like he was up a little bit in round one, and he was really like feeding up to the crowd, and the crowd was super into him being up. And I think maybe that just kind of, you know, discombobulated him a little bit, and he started to fall back behind. And obviously Mike ended up winning. So, but I think those are the two matches that were my favorite, because they were just so like, they were like, you were sitting there biting your nails, you're not quite sure who was going to win.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it was definitely the IG match. They're all good matches, of course. But yeah, it was definitely IG, because again, it went into sudden death. I think they both missed their five, if I remember correctly. And then Parker missing that Empire Strikes Back question, you know, big line, big moment in the movie, IG guy, and I just couldn't believe he missed it. And yeah, Mike, you know, having such a good season. defending 3 times, I believe, winning the title, winning a number 1 contender match, winning the title, defending 3 times. I mean, we're talking player of the year here, but yeah, that was that was my favorite match, I'd say. So I'll go to Soul next. Your favorite match or moments from any matches?
If we're gonna say the best match would be the IG match. But I think my favorite match was probably either Star Wars or Rocha, because I think with Star Wars, like I've said, I don't bet against Nikki DeMolanta. And then I also love Thomas Harper, friend of the show. He's going to be on later today. And his entrance and his heel turn, and then Nikki being up there. And then I love also the, how's it to have a night without the kids? Like, and they're just banter with each other as well, because both of them are parents. And so I loved every moment of the Star Wars match. And then the Rocha versus Dan, that was just so emotional. Watching that, and also you got Emma Fyffe at the beginning, you got Matt Nose at the end, you got Scott Mans screaming with the movie release dates in the crowd, and then coming on stage later. So those were where it's like favorite to watch with those two, but the best one was probably the IG match.
Yeah, Rocha's match was very sweet. You know, him getting emotional, Jan getting emotional, seeing these classic people coming on stage, and everyone kind of giving him a standing ovation and stuff, and the entrance, and he went back into the crowd. I loved all that. So Mike, favorite match? You know, you're an IG guy, famously. So was it that match or was it another one?
I mean, this spectacular was such an embarrassment of riches. You know, it's like trying to pick your favorite child. I mean, obviously, like Rocha's match held a lot of emotional weight for me. With just, you know, how we all are, but, you know, how involved with Outlaw Nation and with Rocha's time in the Schmoedown, you know, I've been. And so, and again, like getting to see Nost up there, Mance up there, taking on Merle, Emma's there, Jen's there. But yeah, like in terms of just overall how much I love the matches, I mean, that IG match was just like something else. Like I was really like biting my nails watching it, and was so like, I'm not a big sports guy, but I liken it to like, this must be what people who actually care about the Super Bowl feel like about the Super Bowl. But also like, and we haven't mentioned it much yet, but like I love the Shazam King Arthur match.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I never don't want to watch Shazam play. I love Bibiani. I love the kid. I love their dynamic. It was like I said at the beginning, like pick any match as your favorite and you're not wrong. It's hard to make an argument against any of these, but the IG match definitely, because again, Kalinowski's just showing how much he is holding that crown high. You know, you're wearing that crown, and you know, it's going to be, he took down Parker, like, and Parker fought him hard for it. But at this point now, you know, Kalinowski's the dragon in the mountain guarding the treasure.
Yeah, for sure.
And before forgetting too, Marisol as well. Ending a second time. First female champ, and she's defended twice now. One of the few who have defended twice. I think Dan Merle has defended it twice. Who else has defended the singles belt twice?
I think Sam Levine.
Yeah, Sam Levine. Yeah.
End of list.
End of list.
Definitely.
Marisol has now catapulted herself into, like, we talk about time, but into like Mount Rushmore conversation. Like, first women's singles champ, defended the belt twice. You can't not put her in the conversation of
at live events,
especially. So like, she is now permanently a part of that conversation now.
I also, really quick, because you brought up the Shazam thing, when because they were the first match.
Yeah.
That when they said Shazam and then that smoke thing came out, that thing was so loud. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this?
How much smoke did you get in your face, Sean?
Well, it was not necessarily because it came down the middle, so it didn't really like affect. It was just so loud, and again, because you didn't know it was happening, it was just like, it took me aback. But yeah, you're right. Their match was just so good, and just again, their dynamic, and I think, like, King Arthur just came in with so much swag. Like they came in looking like they already won. And they play really, really, because I remember we talked about before, like King Khan was like kind of like the missing, not the missing, like the jack of all trades. Like if he played well, they would probably win. He did play well, but Shazam was just like, we're putting this spectacular curse to bed, and they did.
Yeah, and with Marisol as well, I want to add that some of the celebrations afterwards, they were so sweet. All the corruption kind of running on stage, and I saw some like kind of backstage kind of things when they're all like praying. She gets I think it was she needed a 3 to win or something, but yeah, it was super sweet. And then they're all running on stage, so yeah, shout out to them. But yeah, that King Arthur match was fantastic. Also, Mike, I want to know your thoughts on, because I don't think you were on the show, Amanu's match against Kalinowski when he was so close to winning. I remember he missed his 3 and his 5. The Back to the Future question: how good did that guy play? I thought that was it. I thought that was upset of the year right there and then, bang. But yeah, it wasn't to be. I just thought, I want to hear your thoughts.
No, that was a nail biter. That was a edge of the seat. That had me getting flashbacks to Kalinowski versus Smets with the Don't Tell Peter moment. That was one of those like, what's about to happen? Like what's about to happen right now? I need a cigarette after this. What's about to happen right now?
Yeah, and because he was super close, but as well obviously seeing Smets back, great to see him back, and obviously that got announced as the kind of number 1 contender match, I believe. I'm not sure if it is number 1 contender match where they're playing each other, him and Chandru, they kind of to open the season, I believe. So that should be super interesting. Who you got for that, Mike?
Oh,
it's way early, but
yeah, that's a hard because it's
probably going to be new categories added as well or announced.
Yeah,
next year, so it's hard to say.
Smets has been out for a while, so I don't know.
You don't have to pick now, Mike. We got months to decide that.
I months to decide.
Yeah.
If I knee-jerk reaction, I'm going Chandru, just because I feel like Smets is gonna, he's been gone for a while, but it's also hard to pick against Kevin Smets. So
you already know my answer. I don't bet against Chandru.
Even if he's not on swag anymore, so you still have to say swag, drip, drip.
Each time he plays.
Stick with it.
Even if he's not playing,
he joins the den, and I'm still like swag, drip, drip.
Like den, drip, drip. You could just do that kind of thing. Just whatever faction he's on, just add the drip in there, kind of thing.
Copyright infringement.
Like fin socket streams.
I'm sure
drip.
Winston would not be too happy with me.
Well, well, that's a conversation for next month, probably when we figure out exactly how the themes are structured. But we should actually get to our first guest.
So, please do the honor, Sean.
Well, I don't know if you guys can guess who our first guest is going to be, but he is the former 2-time singles Schmoedown champion, the former 2-time teams champion, and the current GOAT of all time in the Schmoedown, the man who helped build the Schmoedown. He's on Mount Rushmore. You know him. We're on his channel. The one, the only, the outlaw, John Rocha.
Woo. Hello, everyone. How are you? I don't like how he stressed former, but all right, that's fine. That's fine. I appreciate it. Thanks for the intro. Thank you for the intro, and appreciate you wearing the shirt, Sean. You've got sound effects now.
Oh, Mike's here. Yeah, Mike's
moving to the next level, Mike. Respect. But no, I got my shirts up right there. You're wearing one of them, Sean, the GOAT, and the Outlaw. Just want to start off right off the bat. If Bibiani can push soap, I'm going to push my T-shirts. I still got 17 left of each of these. Extra large and large are available. There's a couple of double XL. So let me know if you want them. DM me in my social media. Let me know if you're down. We'll charge you shipping, but they're about $30 a shirt, 2 for $50. Just letting you know. That's the deal going on right now. And if you want a signed Outlaw Nation mask, like one of those Guy Fawkes masks, those are about $25. So just letting you know. Pitching now. And I've got soap. No, I'm joking. All right. Hello. What's up, everyone? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm changing out the colored lights, which is why you can't see the color behind me. So I should be getting them from Amazon tomorrow and go back to that nice soft blue that I usually have. Listening to you guys, great conversation. Really nice, animated, fun conversation. I think you guys have enjoyed a little bit of time off, so there's a little more spirit, a little more energy today. I like it. Some real joy throughout. So I love a lot of things that you were saying. here's my 2 cents. I'd never bet against Kevin Smets, and Smets has had a whole year to get ready, a whole year to prepare. The thing that's going to affect him possibly is if he doesn't get some reps in real time, because that's what affected me at the Spectacular. It had been so long in front of a live event. It kind of throws you off. And so I hope they simulate that for Kevin. Somehow they break into some gymnasium and set up some kind of fake event, have some people show up. I'd show up. I'm retired now. I don't got no dog in the hunt. So to cheer him on or to kind of mess with him or whatever. So I think that's, if I could give any kind of advice to Smets and to whoever's manager is going to be next year, that's what you need to do to get him sharp for this match, because Chandru has been chomping at the bit to get back at that belt for sure.
For sure, because correct me if I'm wrong, Ricker, but your last live match.
Last live match? Yeah.
Yeah, which was it? Was it
That was Spectacular 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
I think so. So what we call the flu game. Flu game, man. Come on.
Right,
you're gonna have such a long time.
Which Christian did a masterful job of not letting the crowd know exactly if that match was going to happen or not.
Yes.
I even remember during the expo, was like, is this match actually going to happen? He's like, I really don't know. And then he kind of made it seem like, oh, no, we only have 4 matches. And then we'll just have them walk out and ceremoniously just say the match is going to be over. And then when your music hit, it was just it was electric. And so.
Yeah, it was so good. You won singles entrance of the year during a teams match.
I know. Don't tell Biz that. He's still mad about that. I love him, but he's still mad about that.
But Rocha, obviously, post Spectacular, I want to know your thoughts on how you played. How do you think you played the overall event? The expo, the day. Must be kind of exhausting. Because you're getting emotional. All the messages. The words from people and stuff. And just give us overall thoughts. We're going to get into the match and stuff. But yeah.
Well, I think overall, leading up to the event, I think there was a lot of it didn't really hit me until a few days before that this was really the end, and so it's just kind of crazy. Then all of a sudden, the emotions were happening and what have you. And we had a plan. We got a hotel room. We were there in Pasadena. We drove in for the expo. Which was great. I mean, getting a chance to touch base with the fans and talk to them and hear them. And they were very supportive and very much, hoping I would win that night. And I was very nervous because, I hadn't really prepared that much because just time, the channel, everything that was happening. I could not put the time in that I normally put the time in to get ready. And look, no offense, Dan played a great match. It doesn't take away from Dan's match. Dan played a fantastic match. And I wasn't in the right frame of mind because of the expo. And then we decided to drive back to Pasadena and then come back. I should have just stayed and studied and got myself right. But I thought, I'll just move away from this area and I'll just kind of chill out in the hotel room and then come back. And I see now that was a little bit of a mistake because absorbing the energy of a live event calms you down before you walk out. And I think I had just kind of gotten a bit off about that. But, seeing all the great fans, hearing all the great cheers and the entrance, Christian and I worked on the entrance, and I think it worked out really well. And then, Dan playing along. Dan was really great to play along and very sweet. And then, the match itself wasn't that great. I wish I'd played a better match. It still haunts me. I'm not going to lie to you. I woke up this morning going, I knew Game of Death, should have said Game of Death. And that's the competitive side of me. I wanted to leave with a damn good match and not on my shield. I didn't want to leave getting TKO'd. So, that's going to stick in my craw. And if I ever come back down the road, it'll be to erase that feeling inside of me because I'm probably going to hold on to that for a while. But overall, a really fun experience, a humbling experience. At times, overwhelming experience. I had a couple of panic attacks while I was there. So that's the overall feeling I had walking. It was great seeing, some of you guys that were there. It was fantastic to get messages from you guys that weren't there. And so, overall, that was my journey there for that one.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being honest about that. And if you need to keep sharp, don't be afraid to whoop some Outlaw Nation fools, in the Patreon leagues.
No. I think we're going to leave trivia alone for a bit, man. Exactly. I'm very happy to be retired. Trust me.
Yes. But I'll throw it to my girl Soul. So first, any questions or thoughts on the actual event, Spectacular, Rocha's involvement in that, or any questions, please? Yeah, go ahead.
My first is a comment, and I know it's easier said than done. but let the match go. I know I tell you that all the time in our hangouts. Anytime he has a match that he doesn't perform to his standards, which are crazily high, he's like, oh, it's not good. And he thinks about it for so long. And I'm always like, let it go. You're good. You're good at what you're the outlaw. You're the GOAT. You're the person that all of us have been following and have been loving. And look at how many people just even like showed up on stage. You had Emma Fife and you had Matt Nost. Really nice. And you had and we were even talking about the Scott Mans just cheering movie release dates from the crowd.
I didn't even know he was there. So
you have both the competitors and the fans and the Outlaw Nation behind you 100%. So let that go. You have that beautiful belt. Don't you dare try to give it back to Dan. I know he's probably going to say the same thing.
It was very gracious of him to give me the belt. I wanted to win it outright, but the things he said were very, very powerful. And I think a lot of people who maybe had questions about it or maybe had doubts about it, they got their TKO. But by the same token, they also, had Dan deliver a fantastic speech. And what you guys don't know is that after the match, he emailed me and said that all the proceeds that they had got at the expo, they donated to the Wounded Warrior Project in my name for my service. So it was incredibly kind. I mean, I don't need to put this guy over even more, but but Dan and Mara, I do want to make that clear, both of them, because of course Mara served. So, but it was just an incredibly awesome experience. And the only snag, Soul, and maybe I'll let it go in a few months. The only snag was just how I played. That's all. So,
I don't think you'll ever
my
lose
comment
that
for you. Yeah.
Did you have a question beside the comment? No.
Why are you so great?
I don't know, but I'm exhausted. So, I'm very happy to be focusing on the channel going forward. And it was a nice run. But they're all great. They're in great hands. And Christian has texted me a couple times since the retirement already. And the first was like, relax, champ, you earned it, blah, blah, blah. And then the second one was like, and a picture of Marisol saying like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to take her on for the title? And I'm like, just stop. Let me rest.
Trying to bring you back in.
Trust me, I'd love to get in the ring with Marisol. That would be a blast. But like, I'm not in the frame of mind yet to be back there, and some time off I think will be good. If I ever decide to come back, I think time off will be the way for me to come back for sure.
Just want to remind everyone watching as well, please like the video, sending your Streamline super chats for the Outlaw whilst he's here. Mike, tell us your thoughts and any questions for Rocha, and everyone in the chat as well. If you've got any questions, the sound of social support for the Outlaw and his one last ride. But please, Mike, go ahead.
Send some Streamlabs for God's sake.
Seriously, people.
God. Support the channel, support the show, support me. Send some money.
The man just bought lights on Amazon. People,
come on. That shit ain't cheap.
Those are expensive. I'm just salty he's retired and I can't see him perform, play live anymore. No, we were talking earlier, like, it was emotional for I mean, obviously you, but especially for me, having seen you from when you first came in to where we've gotten to now. And so I guess my real question is, now that that's kind of like compartmentalized and off to the side now, like, do you find that it's giving you kind of like a fresh injection of how you want to take things, like with this channel kind of going forward now, like now that you can say, okay, that part's done, now I can just focus here?
I think so, because I mean, having the Schmoedown, when you play the Schmoedown at the level that I played, there's a great line in the Get Back documentary. Ringo is talking to somebody and he's saying, but that's the problem. When you do so well, you have to everything we do has to be great, or else people are going to come after it. And so once you establish a certain level of play, a certain level of expectation amongst the people who follow you, you have to kind of live up to that. So to walk away from it a little bit, to kind of take that monkey off your back and kind of push it out to sea and be comfortable with the decision. That's the number one thing. Be comfortable with the decision, now I am opening space for 2022 to be like, okay, what can I do with the time that I spent studying and being in these, sessions with you guys, hours-long sessions with you guys, or hours-long sessions with the Finstock Exchange? What can I do with that time? And so now the focus is not only just the channel, but the Twitch channel as well. The focus is, what can I do that's new and interesting and exciting? What boundaries can I push? Where can I get where can I make some connections here? What other shows can I go guest on that are on completely other networks? So it's just a matter of opening up more time to establish and build even more. How can I say this? Even more firmly, the Outlaw Nation. So yeah, absolutely.
Right on. It's just it's just sorry. It's didn't mean to talk over whoever was just talking.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say like to see where it all started and where it's gotten to now. I think a lot of people would probably just say like, I think we're just kind of glad that we've gotten to come along on the journey with you. And it's been so entertaining and so fun and emotional to watch and be a part of. And I think we're all just kind of glad that you're like, the Schmoedown, whatever it is, but that you're still continuing on, and we still get to have that, be a part of this part of your life and your career going forward.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. It's very kind. I mean, I think that's why I broke down the way I did. Listen, I thought I knew I'd get emotional, but I didn't think I'd break, and I broke on that stage. Just hearing the chants. I mean, the thank you Rocha chants, dude. As a guy who loves professional wrestling, to be in an auditorium, to be in a place like at a live event, have people chant your name like that, just was just surreal. And I think that's what eventually broke me. And I said the things that I said from my heart. I didn't prepare anything because, me, I don't like to prepare too much in terms of speeches or anything like that. So, and I feel like I could have said more things, like thanking the fans a bit more, thanking, standing up and saying, as a person of color, being able to lead the way in the Schmoedown means a lot to me, to be one of the foundational pieces of the Schmoedown, things like that. And thanked some more people more specifically, name by name. But I also felt this pressure that we had to get to the next match and their time was running out and stuff like that. So you just kind of I had to adjust with what I had. But yeah, I mean, Mike, people like you, people like who've been there from the beginning, it means the world to me. You've seen the ups and downs, you've seen the struggles, the battles, you've seen some of the shit I've had to deal with, some of the behind the scenes nonsense, some of the crap I've had to kind of swallow or crawl through in order to come out the other side. And it hasn't been easy. And so, but I wouldn't change a thing because that's also what established the Outlaw, what the fact that I keep coming back. Someone said to me during the expo, he's like, you're like a phoenix, always constantly rising from the ashes. No matter how hard you get knocked down, you're always coming back up for more. And that like means something for so many of us. So I hope, even though I got TKO'd, you guys know that at some point down the road, maybe I might be coming back for more. So we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting where you kind of replace that fix, that competitive fix, because correct me if I'm wrong, you don't play any like regular active sports, right? You're not,
no.
Yeah, so this
not
is your equipment, right?
No, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is your equivalent, right? This is where you get your fix, your competitive fix. So without doing that, obviously you've got that top on. By the way, did you see Honors Alexandra's goal?
Of course.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Watched it like 50 times, but yeah, it's going to be interesting where you get that, replace that fix in your kind of daily life. I mean, you mentioned a few things before, focusing on the channel, but because you might get, like withdrawal of, not getting that, the buzz of winning, or, having them great pulls, the sound of the crowd, all that stuff. So that's going to be interesting.
Well, I mean, if you're addicted to the applause, that's a recipe for danger. Do you know what I'm saying? Rocky 3, right? What does she say to him on the beach? When you're through and everyone's done chanting your name, it's just going to be us. And we can't live like this. You can't live like this. We can't live like this with you chasing the applause, the fear of losing, all of that. So to me, I just looked at that and I got to make sure, like, I don't want to come back to get the applause. I don't want to come back to get the acclaim of the play. I want to come back because I want to play if I ever come back. And so that's the approach. But in terms of your initial question, the idea of like, where would I find the competition? Well, look, I mean, running a YouTube channel is competition. I spend almost every waking moment going, okay, what do I need to do for the channel? What's next? What do I need to focus on? What's the content I need to be discovering and putting up on the channel? What are the videos? So the competing with other YouTube channels in a friendly way is the approach here. And that's where I replace my competitive fire. And I think it's a more healthier competition, to be honest with you. I think the last couple of years, things had gotten a bit at times toxic with the competitive side of things on both sides. And I think for me, it just gotten to the point with my mental health stuff that I just didn't want to keep dialing into that and dealing with it. And it was better for me to walk away. And now I replace something that had gotten a little bit unhealthy at times for me, not all the time, obviously, just sometimes, and replace it with something like competing with my YouTube channel to make it bigger, make it better, keep plugging away, push boundaries, take chances. And that's more like I can control that. Like that's something I can control. Do you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that's going to take the place of competition. And that's a competition that actually will lead to something. Do you know what I'm saying? And because at the end of the day, this is movie trivia and it's fun and it's playful and you get a nice little belt and everything like that. But this is my career, right? The YouTube channel. And so to be able to build that more and be competitive about that, that's something that can lead to business opportunities, can lead to so much more in my life. So that's the way I look at it.
I'm picturing Sean drunk at a Buffalo Wild Wings for trivia night.
Calling anyone out. Who wants it?
I was the champion trivia guy once.
I was the former two-time champion, former tag team champion. You know, no.
Oh Lord!
Well, Sean, I thought that was a good intro, personally. But please tell me.
I thought it was too. I did my best, but it is what it is. But and plus, I wasn't expecting you to do that, so it was just really just on the spot. But I just want to kind of comment on the entrance because letting some of us be a part of it, John. You didn't have to do that. And personally, as a fan of yours, since your first match with Scott Mance and you being on Collider, you like, I understood, you helped me understand what Christian was trying to do. Your that match specifically and the lead up to it with the, with what you called Scott Mance. We don't have to, rehash what you said about him, but just that lead up to it, it was like, oh, this is what the vibe he's really getting. Like it kind of started with season 3 with Dan and John Campia, but it was kind of your build up to it. Yeah. Like, oh, this is what he wants. This is what the vibe he's trying to give off. Mm-hmm. And then just to kind of see you go and progress from there and to go from that moment to kind of seeing you walk down the aisle and kind of, I couldn't even see your face because I was behind you, but I could just feel that you were like slowly taking it all in from like your first match to that match, just kind of soaking it all in and like feeding off the energy of the crowd and taking it all in because you don't know what the future holds. You may never actually play in the Schmoedown ever again. This actually could be easily the last ride for sure. So I just felt that you were just taking it all in. And then once you got on stage, I also felt like you were just taking it all in. And unfortunately, I was like, I don't know if John could win this match because you could tell you were off. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's kind of like, and just hear you say that you left and came back.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you should have stayed because if it felt like you were just like, and then I remember one point Christian just was asking something, you were like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, he's not even really, he's here, but he's not here.
Yeah, I mean, the Dan question with the Audrey Hepburn thing, I didn't even hear what he selected, right? I was so like, oh my God, I just was not even 100% dialed in. And, it's not an excuse. I was just overwhelmed by everything. I didn't anticipate how I would feel. I didn't anticipate what that was all about. Because I don't think we've had anyone like have a farewell retirement situation at a live event ever in the history of the Schmoedown. So for me, it was an interesting thing to navigate, but sure. Yeah. But I mean, like you say, you can, if I had won the match, would I be complaining about anything I did? No, I'd be saying, the smartest thing I did was to go home. The smartest thing I did was to, so it's just the way it works out sometimes. And so, but no, I mean, it played out the way it played out. And maybe it was supposed to, because like in pro wrestling, you're supposed to lose your last match. You're supposed to put someone else over. That's always the way it goes. And not that I intentionally lost that match, but other things were in the way here mentally for me. And you're right. I didn't 100% get there. So it is. Yeah, exactly. Places of the heart instead of places in. Yeah. I mean, like in another match, I'm challenging that till Mark Ellis is dead. That's for sure. Because I mean, I would have never let that fly. And you saw how casual I was about him not. giving me that. And Dan leaned over to me because look, the acoustics on that stage were terrible, man. It was tough to listen or hear, so it didn't help. That didn't help either.
Yeah.
But Dan thought I had said the right answer, and so Christian saying no, Dan didn't even try to answer the right answer to steal the 2 points because he thought I had said the right answer. So when Christian said no, it was Places in the Heart, Dan leans over and goes, "I thought you said that. I thought you had said that." So in another match, I'm challenging that and winning that point. Because there's 2 points. No way you can tell me Muppets From and Muppets Go To is the same thing. When Places Of and Places In are literally the same location and there's no other film with that title. So it's just like I could have pushed for all of that, but I wanted to have fun. Christian told us to have fun, and in the end, we were having fun. And Dan and it was great. And I think for Dan and I, it was a blast to just be able to relax and play again, like we did way back when. That's what I take away about our interactions on the stage is Dan and I were having a lot of fun. So.
Well, it's funny you mentioned about the acoustics because Mike was saying, especially because you were on that side of the stage. Yeah. Mike was also complaining about that as well. So it could have been, that specific speaker next to you, that podium was what I think was malfunctioning that time going forward. So it's not a coincidence that you were on that side too, and he was complaining about it earlier. But you mentioned something, and I want to comment on it. Is that you said you in wrestling you usually lose your last match to put somebody else over. You put the Schmoedown over. Because I think, and I'm not the only one who thinks this way, is that your character work set the stage for everyone's character work going forward. You name anybody who's had a character on the Schmoedown, that element came and you started it. You were the trailblazer of the character work in the Schmoedown, and that's what actually is maybe some of the reasons. Not everybody enjoys that part of the Schmoedown, but if you do, it's because you set the stage and the standard of what character work actually is. Yeah. So when you leaving, but you leave a legacy of all these great characters that we've seen in the past come behind you. So even though you didn't win your last match, your legacy is entrenched because of all the great character work that people were inspired because of what you started.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's very kind. And I've had a number of players come up to me and say, even the new players who've come through this last year found moments to like say some nice things to me or say things like, the character, what you did, the character work, the Outlaw was my first match. That's how I understood what this was all about. So that is very humbling and it's very nice to hear. And we've seen so many great characters come through since me and have like taken that ball and ran with it in their own direction. We saw with Kalinowski, with the Action Army guys, or Team Action guys, with the Beast, with Marisol doing what she's doing now currently with Lady Justice. We've seen so many great characters come through. And if I left anybody out, I apologize. I'm just thinking on the spot. And it was just been incredible to watch all the changes, all the different approaches, and Chandru. Oh my God, how could I forget Chandru? I mean, people really believe Chandru is that kind of heel, and I think that's what's really so fascinating. And when all those people were complaining, I don't want to rehash this, but when all those people were complaining earlier this year about Chandru going after people who aren't even playing, and I understood obviously the point of view that those people had, but by the same token, he's playing a character, and this is a character. And remember, Christian Harloff retweeted that tweet that Chandru tweeted, and then took it down and made him take it down. But it was there. But that's a character. That's character work. And for me, I thought if you're in the game, you're fair game. That's how it works. And in my mind, because of professional wrestling. Now, other people may disagree, and that's totally fine. And I totally respect that. And I understand that feelings were hurt, so I respect those feelings absolutely. But I also think in terms of character work, what Chandru was doing is correct. And he's supposed to be hated. He's supposed to be a heel. And I think some people now are kind of blurring the lines and don't know where the lines are. And those of us who know professional wrestling from top to bottom have to be understanding of and in the past, I haven't been. And I'm seeing now very clearly, I need to change that, need to be more understanding, because some people just, it's really not instinctive for them to do that or to understand that. So I hope I laid the groundwork for people to understand that there's a line to walk, and then be yourself out of character, and then be in the character when you're doing promos or when you're doing the shows. And at times, yes, did it get serious with a couple of people? Sure. But overall, most of the time, everything was talked about ahead of time. Everything was discussed ahead of time. And it was fun, and if there were any hurt feelings when they came to me, person to person, I handled it or stopped doing it, or we talked about it and we found another way through it. So, those are the things that you look at when you're building character work, the legacy that you're leaving, that you hope you're leaving the right kind of legacy. And I appreciate you saying that, Sean.
Oh, good.
I want to quickly talk about the Finstock exchange.
Yeah.
The potential was there to obviously take all the glory. Obviously went 0-3 basically.
Mm-hmm.
So want to know your thoughts, maybe quick reviews on the teams match. I don't know if you watched it because obviously you were there.
Yes, I did. I
watched
watched it over lunch. We had gotten lunch at one of the Greek places by the hotel, and I sat there with my iPhone on the top floor. No one else was around but me and the Lady Outlaw, and I watched the match. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know your thoughts on it. Obviously they were close because I think there was a lot of obviously there was pressure on Noobs to win, of course. But
yeah,
I think there was kind of more pressure on Khan. Like he's the B player. He's the one that's got to step up. He did score more points than Brennan in round 1.
Yeah,
but we just kind of saw Shazam, their kind of experience together, especially like round 2, round 3, round 4. You just saw how good they were. And I think that was the biggest difference, really. But yeah, please, overall thoughts on that match.
Yeah, I thought it was a tight match. I thought it was a tense match, and then that I think the betting round was the swing, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, they missed it.
Yeah, and they missed it. So I think that kind of shattered any illusions that they might have had about winning the match. I hear what Sean was saying earlier, that they came in thinking they were going to win. That's the character work. That was what we were supposed to convey. But what you don't know behind the scenes is Griffin almost didn't play. And I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there was concern that Griffin had COVID. And so, and I heard about it at the expo, and Tom and I were sharing a table. So Tom comes up to me, he goes, "Outlaw, dude, they're testing Griffin right now. They think he might have COVID." And so he came really sick to the event. Now, some people are going to be like, "Oh, you're making excuses." Grow up. This is truth. And he was sick. And so they tested him. They thought, so we were waiting. So we had alternate plans. The Barbarian was going to play Marisol because obviously he had made the final. And so default, he gets to go and play Marisol, and possibly JTE was going to team up with Khan to be in the tag team match. Now, they wanted to throw Rager in, and of course, because they want to have an easy match, we're like, no, it's going to be JT. And I wasn't playing because I'm retiring. There's no reason for me to be taking any of these belts. So, other than the GOAT belt. And I was focused on that. So that was our plan, but it was touch and go with Griffin for almost until about noon, whether he was going to play or not. And that being said, for me, I have nothing but absolute respect and honor for what Griffin was able to do, because I've played sick, and it is not easy. I'm sure Marissa. What am I saying? Sorry, Rachel and Mara will tell you. Yeah, right. I mean, so many M's. Sorry about that. But Rachel and Mara will tell you. I mean, one was in a car accident. The other was suffering through back pain and was taking pills just to be able to. Those things really do affect you and how you play and how you step up to the plate and what have you. So it does affect you. And so I don't know if any of that affected Griffin. But in the end, they just didn't know the answer. I knew the answer to that betting round, which drove me insane that they didn't get it. But that, to me, what we saw there, Boggs, was Shazam 2 years ago. Remember, they came in and everyone thought that they might really take out the Founding Fathers, and we beat them. And we mentally, I messed with Brendan by talking about he was a young kid playing with that buzzer like he's having sex for the first time. And that kind of got in his head. And remember, I won the next 2 points on the buzzer, and he'll probably claim I didn't get in his head, but that's the kind of gamesmanship you have to have when you're a veteran. And so I think Shazam now is on one of the most incredible runs. And so that is the specter. That's the intimidating specter. And so what we saw, if Khan and Griffin stay together, if Griffin stays in the game, I know Khan's going to stay in the game, but if Griffin stays in the game, I think those guys take the lesson from that loss, just like Shazam did, and they're going to go on a run themselves. Never forget, a loss does not mean you don't have a shot down the road or you can't learn from it. The greats always learn from the losses and always come back stronger. And I think, and with Griffin, I think there was like, he didn't hear the right word in the singles match. So it just happens, you know, and it's an unfortunate. We went in there with a 10-point lead. It was there. I mean, if Parker wins, we win. We didn't even need to win our matches. If Parker had beaten Kalinowski, we win. And so just for whatever reason, in this timeline of the multiverse, it was not our time, the Finstock Exchange, to win the faction title. But that being said, we damn well better win Faction of the Year, because a top-heavy faction with only 4 players that get points, or 5 players that get points, should not be winning Faction of the Year. Our entire team from top to bottom, except for a couple of people, got points that got us into a position to have a 10-point lead. You have to look at it. Faction of the Year, not half Faction of the Year, not quarter Faction of the Year, Faction of the Year. That means drafted correctly, won matches, got into positions to win tournaments, got into finals, and didn't win belts, but accrued an incredible amount of points. Our winning percentage is astronomical compared to the second place person. Our number of points that we accrued over the year, pretty incredible. Plus, 7 out of 10 of us were rookies. So, or 6 out of 10 of us were rookies, because Taylor played a few years ago. So I think what we did as a faction is incredible, and we played it correctly. We drafted correctly amidst all the laughter, amidst all the jokes. We drafted correctly, and players came to play, and Craig and JT and Tom and I got them ready to step into those matches and play. And Khan, I mean, we were on Khan after he lost that singles match, because I gave up my spot to him. So I said to him, you better show up in the tag team situation, because I will be mad if you blow out in the tag team. And him and Griffin did it. So I think all around, and Gold Leader, people seem to forget about Gold Leader. Him getting to the finals of 2 tournaments of Star Wars tournaments with these incredible players this year, that deserves accolades. And those points counted. Those points helped us. So, and JT and I TKOing people, me TKOing people, JT getting those victories against Adam Collins. I mean, that's the thing. We have victories over giants all over the field, top to bottom in our faction, and that deserves an incredible amount of respect.
Moose beating Chance, Tyler beating was it McQueenie? I believe, yeah. So big wins all around. But I want to know your thoughts, Ricker, on Rookie of the Year. You know, highly contentious subject.
Seems like people are very
right. Yeah.
Particular somebody. Very, very. He's on Twitter. He's on Facebook. He's doing all kinds of things. This one of these people. Yeah.
Well, you know, he's he's trying to win. He's trying to win, right? And there's big vocal support for Griffin Noob. So what are your thoughts on naturally you may be a bit biased, of course, but tell us why you think
lawyers are going to lawyer. Win. That's what you got to understand. Lawyers are going to lawyer. They love a good debate. When I was in the Army, those JAG guys, that's 3-hour conversation. That's the 3-hour debate back and forth. A lot of beers being drank and paid for. And then in the end, you hang out and go home. But no, I mean, for me, I don't think it's more about biased. I've said this over and over again. I think it should be shared. And I've never felt that way about Rookie of the Year or any awards, to be honest with you. I think there's always a clear number one. Number one best player, number one best team, number one best faction, number one best entrance, number one whatever. I always think that. But this year was such an incredible year for rookies. And watching what Griffin Newman did on the singles and team side. And by the way, coming in halfway through the year, ladies and gentlemen, and being able to do what he did and beat some of the greatest players in the game, both tag teams and singles. When you stack up the amount of current champions or former champions that Griffin Newman beat, both in singles and tags, that's a hell of a resume to have. And Harper has played incredible, played lights out. He won one tournament, won the title, then sat back and waited for another tournament to go down. So to me, when you look at it, he's 6-0. Griffin is what, 10-2 or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it's an incredible accomplishment that they both were able to do. Star Wars is a hard division. I think Inner Geekdom is the harder division And then I think tag teams and singles is even harder than that because of the thousands of movies that are in play. Do you know the cinematographer for Bringing Up Baby? I bet that would stump just about everybody in the Schmoedown. That's a valid 5-pointer. Those are those things that you throw around and you're like, oh my God, so there are tough questions all around. And to me, I've always defaulted to singles and tags being the hardest division. And it's the hardest to hold on to. It's the hardest to defend the belts. But that being said, what Thomas Harper did, because they're asking you what color boot did droid blah 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 have at this point at 43:25 of Return of the Jedi or something like that. And he was like, what the fuck? And so it's just
red.
Nice.
I don't know.
Yeah, red. Like I managed a gold leader in that match against Laura, and when they asked that question, I was like, what? And so some of these questions are just out of control. So I mean, I think every Star Wars player who wins that belt and defends it as Thomas Harper did deserves respect and deserves absolute consideration for Rookie of the Year. But I also think Griffin did an incredible job. And I know Harper says that if Griffin had won one belt, he'd be okay with it. I call bullshit. I think he would still have an issue with it. If Griffin had said, well, I defended it twice, I think he'd still have issue with it. And rightfully so. So my belief is it should be a tie because both of them did incredible work to kind of elevate the Schmoedown this year and in 3 separate divisions and elevate the visibility because Griffin Newman being, kind of famous himself already from being an actor. And then Thomas coming in and becoming the new Alex Damon. In essence, this unbeatable force that people are losing to and going undefeated. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Pun intended. But
and then the Rager a close second. Rager's a close second.
Oh, yeah.
Also undefeated. Also undefeated. So, yeah.
I'll put gold leader in front of Rager, to be honest. I'll put gold leader in front of well, I would. You said it, getting to 2 Star Wars titles, right. But
But Sean, I think you did a really good job introducing the Outlaw. I would like to see your second attempts. No. I couldn't. But before we bring in our next guest, I just want to kind of comment on the faction of the year, John. It should be no question because you guys should have won the only reason you didn't win the faction title is because of the way the points are structured.
Yeah. Right.
You have the most wins by far, the least amount of losses by far, the most TKOs by far. So because the way the points are structured is the only reason you guys didn't win the faction title. So then for you guys to not win that, but then not win faction of the year would make no sense whatsoever. And for you to kind of give a little bit of behind the scenes of what Griffin Nooms was going through, I don't think anybody, well, obviously none of us there knew that, but to kind of see him play and not let on or not mention it and still have the performance that he did, it's like you watch it back now, it's like, oh man, kudos, man, because he still showed up and showed out. If like just finding out that you almost didn't, you think you could have had COVID is like, so hats off to him, man. So, but I think I thought before if he would have won either, I thought he was going to win both matches, to be honest. That's what I predicted, but and I thought if he did slam dunk, he was Rookie of the Year.
He was Player of the Year.
Oh, absolutely. But I think him losing both makes it more of a conversation between him and our next guest.
Oh boy,
the Major.
I got to get out of here. What? Oh.
The leader of the Den, the shoulder of the Schmoedown, the reigning, defending Star Wars champion, Thomas Harper.
Wow.
Hey, champ.
Correction. General Mulligan is the leader of the Den. I happen to be, despite my rank, as high as it is in the Den, and I'm lobbying actively for a promotion.
Wow.
I'm not the leader of the Den. I'm a foot soldier, but a foot soldier in this this army that we've built. Good to see y'all. Outlaw, great to see you.
Major, good to see you.
I got in some trouble on the home front for our Twitter back and forth.
Oh no! What do you mean? Oh, with the lady?
Yeah, doesn't like to see me tangle, whether lighthearted or not. So it is what it is.
I get it. Trust me.
I'm ranked on the home front as well.
Trust me, I get the looks when she sees me typing furiously on the couch as she's watching the show. What are you doing?
Quiet.
Yeah. Who is it? Who is it? Stop. Just stop. Oh my God. I get it.
Good to see everybody again.
You too, champ. You too, champ. So I would just want to know your instant thoughts on some of the things that we've just said there, and some things that Rocha said, and a lot of people saying online that it is a 50-50. What do you prefer? Obviously, you're the Star Wars champ at the minute, but give us your thoughts, please. On
look, this isn't the major talking. This is Thomas talking. I meant what I said about the debate being very different, and I think my thought process being very different had Griffin won either of the two belts. Certainly if he walked out double belted, like, what are you going to say to that? Like, okay, here you go. I will step aside and fight my battle elsewhere. But no, I think Goddard put it this way, and I think had a really astute observation that traditionally Goddard of the Den. Okay, yeah, well, formerly of the Den. Formerly of the Den. Formerly of the Den. Yeah. We've relieved the squad of duty here, minus Saul.
You fired all the leaders. Paul Preston told me he was the leader of the Den. Then Ben Goddard thought he was the leader of the Den, and all these people got fired.
I walked in with the threat of a demotion hanging over my head if I didn't perform, and so we did. The camouflage wasn't meant as a character bit; it was so that I could get off stage with nobody seeing me if I lost. There's a very real possibility when you play Nicky DeMolante. So, in any event. Yeah. But no, Goddard pointed out very astutely that historically speaking, the Rookie of the Year is decided either an undefeated player or a player with a belt or both. And there have been examples of those all the way back to season 1. And so that's I can't put it any other way. I did all that I could do. What else am I supposed to do? Sure. I've seen arguments about, nobody else has done this because the Star Wars League has been it is what it is. Well, last season, Ace, as good as he is, had the opportunity to go 5-0, snag that belt, roll into this season, and continue that, and it didn't happen. It took Damon years to build the streak that he built, and quite frankly, as skilled as the class, I think the Star Wars class was the strongest class of rookies in any division. I think singles was very top heavy. Had some talent scattered throughout, but when you talk about elite players or players with that elite potential, it's going to take some time for some of those folks to bake and get to that level. Star Wars, you could have picked any one of those. People underestimated Nicky out of the gate. Absolutely shouldn't have. Gold leader, as much as it pains me to admit, there were multiple folks that could have won that belt out of the gate. And so the competition level was high. The question set obviously got even more difficult. The meta shifted as the season went on. And so, I finished the season. I can't do anything else. There's nothing short of playing double division. And we've seen only a pair of Star Wars players do that crossover. And it hasn't been, well, Alex has done well in IG, but had some issues this season. And I think it wore and affected his Star Wars season. So, I rest easy knowing that there's nothing else that I could have done. The vote, in terms of the vote, people are going to vote the way that they vote. I would like to think that if you strip names away from it, if you strip fandoms away from it, and just walked up to somebody on the street and described, with accuracy and fairness, the two resumes, I'd like to think that I stay competitive and maybe have the edge in that scenario. But I rest easy at night knowing that there's literally nothing else that I could have done. I'll say that this is the point that I was going to make off the top, that had he won either belt, I think that seals the deal. I think, I'm aware playing two divisions, while I have my own thoughts on teams and whatnot, that's mentally more stressful than playing a single division anywhere. Right. You saw that. If it was easy, then Marisol would have won. If it was easy, then, Danger Zone would have ridden to a title belt this year. That you would have seen that belt change hands. It ain't. And I think there is something to be said that singles and teams are the two prestige divisions in the Schmoedown. That's what got this started. That's the foundation, right? That's the gold standard. So if you come in and you win that belt, if you pull an Adam Collins 2020, something like that, what are you going to do to that? I think there's still an argument, but my argument becomes weaker. I think it's a horse race, but a much tougher horse race at the point. And really, if you look at the conversations that are going around this right now, the missing piece for Griffey is just the belt. I think these conversations would all just diametrically shift. And that's not to knock the Star Wars division or anything that I've done, but it is how the Schmoedown is oriented. And until Christian decides to just say, like, you know what, we're going to put all our eggs in the Star Wars basket, which is never going to happen. No. That's how it's going to be. And that's fair. And I accept that. But, that's not the world that we're in now. And at this point in the season, it's up to the fans and how they perceived it. So, yeah, it's a happy time of year to be voting too. That's a good thing about now, like holidays and stuff. People are in good spirits, hopefully. So,
you know what? That Harper guy, yes.
I just like him.
He has the belt on Rex. Like,
I know, it's good.
It was going to be a sad day if I had to come back and he was just naked back there, like just armor alone.
Just want to check with you, Ricky. You good? Because obviously you did.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what Harper has to say. We could tango, but apparently our significant others don't want us to, so I respect that. I totally hear what he's saying, and I understand what Goddard was saying, but that's also, you can't use precedents to evaluate an unusual season like this one. This was an incredibly unusual season with a lot. Who saw a rookie vying to be double belted by the end of the year? I guarantee you no one thought that was going to happen. Or I think a lot of people predicted Thomas Harper would be in the mix, but to do what he did, pretty incredible as well. And DiMolanta. And listen, you can go back and find the tape before I left that show or on these other shows. I said, Nikki is no one to play with. And I said, because I was with DiMolanta last year and I would be in those sessions where she was quizzing him. And when Andrew was missing a couple of these questions, she'd be like, we studied this. What are you doing? And so to me, she was already, whereas Molly doesn't quite have that killer instinct. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people have, some people don't. I felt like Nikki did. Nikki has the kind of like nerd killer instinct.
She got that hunger.
So yeah, she got that hunger. Exactly. And so when I was watching her train Andrew a couple of times last year, I immediately was like, yeah, she's a little more prepared than people think. So when she got into the Schmoedown this year, I was like, y'all better watch out, man. If she's as focused as I saw her being focused in those training sessions, she's going to shock some people. And sure enough, and I thought, but like, to be fair, like Thomas says, like the fact that they're asking who's the 25th lead in Rise of Skywalker, that is insane. And those are those things that we don't have to worry about most of the time in singles and teams. So you can absolutely argue for 24 hours about which division is harder. And I think that at the end of the day, though, I'm not going to, Harper's not changing his mind. I'm not changing my mind. I think both of them did incredible work because, Bibiani, Collins, Marisol all got beat by Griffin this year. All of them. In singles or tags. And, he was able to do so many things that were incredible. And Craig, if Craig had beaten Griff, Craig could have had a real shot to be player of the year himself. Not rookie, but player of the year. So you just never know, to be honest with you. But,
And I'll say this, Griffey, I think, was one of very few rookies that played the big question mark and the big thing that folks asked about a lot of us coming into this season was adapt, not just playing trivia, not just knowledge, but playing the game, right? This game has very specific rules and strategies. And when you're in the moment, when you're in those 15 seconds, I challenge anybody to sit there and be like, well, I know that multiple choice and this stuff, you got to have as rapid a recall of strategy and gameplay and those scenarios that you're practicing as you do the knowledge itself. And Griffey displayed that in spades and was one of few rookies that did that throughout the season. And I think he finished the way he did because of that. And I know it played a big role in where I'm at. I don't know that I beat Witt at the beginning of the season without a good foundation there. And I definitely don't beat Nikki if that's not there. So that's a credit to him that I think gets overshadowed in wins and losses and accuracy and this talk about other stuff, because it's no easy feat to learn the game and then be able to stand and deliver, not just digitally is one thing, but on the stage twice this season.
Oh, and also ride the emotions.
Get out of here, tyrant. I don't want this like biased talk.
Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion.
Ty dropping the hammer.
Everybody on the Finstock Exchange does have an opinion. That's true.
Well, we don't get to be on the Schmoedown Rundown, so to push our den philosophy.
I poisoned the well with the den. I don't know who they're voting for now.
But no, I mean, you make a great point, man. I mean, riding the waves within the game are so difficult, and to have a rookie and you two rookies come in and ride those waves in arguably the toughest divisions there are is incredible. And because you don't want to get too high, you don't want to get too low. You can get in your head, you can be thrown off by something, and so it's a constant holding on to the tension and the tight wire as you go across it. I've described it as man on a wire. You're essentially crossing the Empire State Buildings on a wire, holding both those things to be able to win as many matches as both him and Griffin did this year as well.
Yeah, and I'll just add, this is my final comment on it, but the bottom line here is that Rocha, you mentioned, who would have seen this coming?
Right.
It's a great thing. If at the start of the season, they take a risk, a gamble on bringing rookies in, unknowns.
Yep.
But to have this race for Rookie of the Year, not just be but between two players who played strongly, but be two players that set records along the way, to actually be having this conversation. You go back and look, there was no contest in years past. I mean, maybe a little bit of controversy,
right?
But this is good for the league, right? This is good for everybody all the way around. And no matter how the vote shakes out, it's not a loss for the fandom. It's not a loss for me. I'll be sad if I lose, but and it's not a loss for anybody that's involved. It's proof that this was a good decision to roll those dice, and I'm happy to just be a part of that conversation.
That's right. Finstock Exchange, we rolled the dice and got all rookies. That's right. All right. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Thomas Harper takes center stage. Thanks to everyone here at USA.
Outlaw.
Good to see you, brother, man. And I'll talk to you guys later. And great job in that match, Harper. Fantastic work.
Thank you, sir. It means a lot.
See you guys. Peace.
Take care.
Finally.
All right, now that he's gone.
Yeah.
Now the major report's in for duty.
Exactly. Everyone can relax. Put your feet up. But no,
he's back on the couch, like quiet, like pulling out his phone, like, all right.
That freaking Harper. Yeah.
Give me that link back.
He'll come back in with like just his phone.
He could pop back in any moment.
On this time, like, I've awoken the beast.
So
good to see y'all again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like this. I want to say the 6th time, maybe 7th time you've been on this year. And, that's another thing I want to do. I want one last thing about this Rookie of the Year stuff. In my opinion, if either argument can be made, okay, for, let's say for yourself or for Nooms, the reason why I'm going to vote for you is because, again, it's nothing personal against Nooms. But, for example, I don't know him. As far as I'm aware, he's not appeared on a show. Right. So for me to tick your name on a ballot is because you've been on the show 6 times. You've done a Star Wars show with us separate from here. You've spent how much time in the community, and that's what, in terms of a player of the year or someone if you're voting for someone, it should be someone outside of the matches as well. Like this is just our show. You've gone on a dozen other shows, right, and done the same thing. Right. So how much time, dedication you've put into the community, to us, and I think that warrants consideration, right? And that's a part of that. As far as I'm aware, Nooms hasn't done an after show this year, and obviously he's an extremely busy guy, he's an actor, etc. So, but still, I'm not going to ignore that, right? And I think that warrants to be in the conversation, and that shows your character and things like that. So, that's there's some of the reasons why, and because that's undisputable, right? Like everything else you can argue or gameplay or strategy, or that is completely undisputable. The time, dedication, and effort you've put in should be rewarded. So that's why I'm going to vote for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I don't think not everybody has their own factors, and that's completely fair. But from the outset of the season, and I think I went on a tangent with you guys earlier this year, but this stuff is meaningful to me. To me, this, like talking to you guys, not only it's fun, right? That's why I do it, but it's part of the job description, so to speak, right? We're not getting compensated for it, but at the same time, I think accessibility is really important, and it's even more important now for somebody like me, because there are players that are just rarely out there, and they have their own reasons for that, and that's fine. That's the way they conduct themselves. And so it's like spotting a white whale when somebody like that, like somebody like a Kalinowski, steps onto a show. But I don't view it that way. Like, and that's not the kind of person that I want to be. And quite frankly, like Damon is a good example of this. Not that Damon goes on a bunch of after shows, but he's very public facing, very accessible. I think he's if you've ever reached out to him, he's very responsive. There's not that wall there, intentionally or otherwise. And I've always admired how he and Molly carry themselves in spite of what they've built. And whether I went, 0-1 and that was the end of my season, or finished this way, it was very important for me to stay true to my roots, because I entered this league as a fan. Whenever I exit this league, it will be as a fan, because I won't be holding the belt anymore. And at that point, that's all you've got. And so, I don't want to ever lose touch with that stuff. And quite frankly, one of the highlights of Spectacular, as fun as the match was, as fun as it was to win, was just hanging out with folks that I'd seen digitally all year long. Some people, not just teammates and whatnot, but just folks that I had grown to become friends with in this digital space, just fans. And that was really meaningful. That made the trip that much more worthwhile.
Absolutely, yeah. So, because you went to the New York event, obviously went to this. Previously, was that your first Schmoedown event that you been to?
No, my only other live one was in Chicago in 2019. They gave me I already had the bug. That was like pouring kerosene on a fire. It was to have a Star Wars crowd for a Star Wars title match, and I think Rocha played there as well. I didn't know what the heck I was watching at that point. I was just like enamored by this whole rabbit hole that I had fallen down. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's much better, I will say, much better to just be in attendance at an event, especially as a belt holder, than to be playing. Yeah, pancakes at Denny. That was a good trip. Yeah, that was the highlight.
Exactly. But yeah, I want to throw it to my girl Sol. Thoughts on the match in Spectacular against Demi. Obviously a big Demi supporter as well as a Thomas supporter, of course. You did predict every single match right leading up to that tournament when Demi was playing. So I'll give you credit there. Yeah, she did.
That was amazing.
So yeah, overall thoughts on the match, and any general questions for Thomas?
Yeah, before we went in, and I guess going to also what Rocha was saying, is that people didn't believe me when I said Nikki DiMolanta was going to run through that tournament, because I said, have you guys watched her show? And I kept going, with her husband. Like, he was the title winner, but I was like, with her husband. Because she plays along in the matches and she knows her shit. Yeah. And so this was one of the most exciting, because I know how good you are and how much, like, just talking to you about Star Wars and your passion for it and just watching you play, and then also being a huge fan of Nikki DiMolanta. So I will say I didn't go for you in this because I was going for Nikki.
That's fair.
But I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to be happy either way. And what a match. The fact, too, when you went down to multiple, I was like, this is about to be a tied game. And then I was like, and then I was like, they're both going to get their round 3, and it's going to come up to the speed round. Who gets that extra one? Because it's not like the other speed round when you can go 10 for 10. This is an uneven thing. Yeah. I was like, whoever comes out on the top of the speed round is going to win this match, because they're going to get every question right. And that's pretty much what ended up happening. And so getting someone like Nikki DiMolanta, I'm pretty sure you knew as much as me that she was going to come full force, answering all her questions, except for that bonus question at the end. And I loved your explanation there. I was like, I wonder if he's a soldier. But just playing and knowing, like, how much of their A game that you had to come in with it.
Yeah, so she deserves every bit of praise that she's gotten. I think she's enamored herself to the fans for good reason. And not just, and what's awesome about it is it's not just because she has an association with Andrew. It's not because she's got a crazy good wit, which she does. It's not because she's affable and like relatable, which she is. It's because she's all of those things plus really, really good at trivia. And I think that the thing that caught my eye during the tournament, and the thing that really lit a fire under me, was we saw a difficulty shift even more so than in the matches previously. And we saw a meta shift as well, a meta shift that caught Gold Leader off guard and hit him outside in gaps in his armor. It certainly crippled Alex, and just, I mean, that was devastating to watch. And so I watched that, and the gold leader match, I think, is a good one to draw this example from, because as hard as his round 2 questions were, she picked up 2 steals, right? And you can say whatever you want about multiple choice and limiting the options, but she got those right. So it's not that like, hey, he got hard questions and you say whatever. She got the hard questions that he missed, at least the ones that she had an opportunity to pick up. And that says a lot about, I walked away from that match, and I remember going into a training session with Ross, the Arsenal, and saying, I know what I have to do now. I don't like it. I don't want to bottom out on IMDb and do these things, but like, that's where the meta is shifting. And so what you saw was a chess game being played all season long with the question writers and the players. She was the player that's like 2 steps ahead of the question writers, and able to checkmate and leverage that skill that she has. And it was just up to me to play that same game and try to outmaneuver. And a lot's been said about the bonus question. That was irrelevant. By the time she answered another question, it was a tie ball game. She just needed to close it out in round 2. I told her privately, and I don't mind pulling the curtain back on this, but I said, we were just joking and talking about the match, and I said, frequently, if you go back and watch in matches where I have my board up in round 2, when the opponent is answering questions, I'm writing the answer down so I have it prepped for a steal. I have my board up in round 2. I'm like doodling when she's answering, and I was like, there's no way she's going to miss this stuff. Even the question, she got a very difficult question about the number of battle droids outside the room with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and the Phantom Menace, like an insane level. I mean, that's like a 500 pointer in any match. And even that one, I was like, I'm not even going to bother to write the number down. And she took a beat, and in the crowd, there was sort of this like, oh no, in the crowd, like, oh, does she have it? Even that, I was like, no, she's just enjoying the fact that she's had another moment where she knows a really difficult question, and it's like that itch getting scratched where you're like, please ask this, and then it happens, which doesn't happen all that often. Or if it does, usually it's to your opponent, and you're like, I know that. But for her, that might as well have been a 1-pointer or a 0-pointer. So in any event, we joked about that, and I was like, I was just sitting there drawing like squiggles on my board.
So Ken Knapsack was right. He was like, he must be drawing Y-wings or something.
Yeah.
And I have,
there would have been the same opportunity there. Nobody would have seen it because there would have been no opportunity for a steal. So,
and then I have a dumb question and then a not so dumb question.
There are no dumb questions unless they come from Evan.
You looked so badass coming in, and also I love the Pledge of Allegiance to the Den. How long did
the crowd didn't?
How long?
I did. I liked it.
The makeup to be put on your face, and how long did it take the makeup to be taken off of your face?
And who did it?
I did.
Oh, good job. I guess.
So I practiced this, and it was important there was no way on earth that I was going to walk out at Spectacular having never played with makeup on and try that for the first time. So I practiced it with my actual camo, like issued camo. That was a disaster. It was like oil based. It just like didn't dry. I try to play with like high heat in the room that I practice in just to simulate having the lights on you. It was just by the end of it, Kate was like, nope. We're calling this is a disaster. It took me forever to get it all off. So this stuff, credit to Peggy Gubbins, was like special effects makeup. So it instantly dried. And down in the green room, teams match starts. And I go to Saul and I said, I'd gone to Saul and Kate just as backups to one another. I said, I'm going to go listen to some music, just get my own right headspace. I'll be in sort of a quiet place. Get me when they go into round 2, when as they're spinning the wheel and doing all that for the teams match. And so I'm there like kind of quietly reflecting and collecting myself. And Saul comes and taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, it's time. Nobody knew she is the GOAT. That is true. Give her that belt. Nobody knew that I had the uniform outside of the handful of people that helped me practice, because I practice in that as well. And only Christian was the only other person that knew, and a couple of the production staff knew that I was going to come out with something on my face. I didn't disclose to them the full like extent of it or send pictures. I think Christian thought I was like commando style, like just a few black stripes or something. Mm-hmm. But I was like, don't worry, I got something for you. So I go in as they start round 2, which pained me because I really wanted to see how that match was going. And there's this dimly lit bathroom down there, and I just like locked the door. And it took me until the end of the teams match just about to get everything on. I did it myself. It's like you put a little water and kind of mix it in. So my hands were like green. If you look closely in the match when I have my gloves off, you can see the paint still on my fingers. And so I put it all on. I had Kate check me twice to make sure I didn't look ridiculous. And then I came out, and it was just the handful of people that were in the green room were the first people that had seen and were surprised by it. And I was like, okay, their reactions, I was like, this is going to play well. This will play well. Whether, the heel turn was in store. And so that was fun. But I was like, one way or the other, whether people love me or hate me, like they're going to have to, like, they'll be surprised, hopefully pleasantly.
Yeah. And sorry, your second question, was that the dumb question or was that the good question?
That was my dumb question. The makeup.
That's a good question.
That was a good question.
That was a good question.
I still have it under my fingernails and stuff, so it's good quality. It lingers.
And then since the Den has now fired everyone except for you and Saul, what is the Den looking for next year?
We call that a discharge. So we involuntarily discharged all of our. I don't know if anybody
honorably
saw
or dishonorably.
That's not from. That's above my pay grade. But they serve the Den honorably in my estimation. But I don't know if anybody saw Silvestrini down. I don't think it's visible like on the actual match, like the video. But she had some choice gestures for Kate as all that went down. So it was well done. Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting for us in particular because we are unlike. I think you could look at a team like Finstock or a team like Corruption, and they have a very different problem set. Thank you. I appreciate that. My wife would disagree with you, but I'm just kidding. No, they have a very different problem set because they have a roster of people that are still hanging around that could still absolutely play anywhere in this league. And it's like, well, who do we keep out of this? We've wiped the slate clean. We're probably the only faction that's done that publicly and not. I mean, Swag has a very notable spot empty on its roster as Shundru gets fired, but. Yeah, I would like to see with sort of the turn that we're taking. I want to see players on this team that are hungry. The biggest thing that I'm looking for as sort of a de facto leader on the team are players that are committed to each other. I don't need, quite frankly, players that are like only going to stay in their lane. If you're the kind of player that's like, I'm a teams player and I only do single stuff, that's fine. You could be as good as you want to be, but I need a player like famously, not that I've practiced with him, but like a player like a Bibbs or a player like a Peggy Gubbins, a player like a Lacey Gilleran or a Goddard, who are going to give their time willingly and understanding that they're making a sacrifice on behalf of a teammate, even if it's outside of their comfort zone in their lane, because that's what's required to lift the other folks up on the roster and trust that somebody like me will do the same thing for them when the time comes. So Saul did that in spades this season. There's a reason beyond his play that he's still on the faction. That's the kind of person. And I'm going to sorely miss somebody like a Peggy Gubbins and a Rachel Silvestrini, who nobody will ever see the hours that they spent pouring themselves into other players, not just me. But that's what it takes to be sort of the complete player in my eyes. And that's who I want to be surrounded with. And I've given Kate, I said, whatever capital at this point that I have to cash in, you go find players. I will help recruit players that fit that mold. Because I don't need some elite player that's holding a belt right now or that's got a number one contendership. if they don't fit the bill there. It's got to be a specific mold that we go forward with. And that's particularly important given that we only have, really 3 roster slots at this point.
So just before I throw it to you there, Sean, just want to remind everyone, Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. Of course, like the video. Also, I completely forgot to mention, we will bring in patrons if you guys want to come in. We haven't done it in a while, so it slipped my mind. But if anyone wants to come and ask Thomas any questions, meet Thomas, etc.
No gold leader questions.
Yeah. Hit up Sean, or you guys know what to do. Jump in the Discord, and we'll bring you on live. But Sean, yeah, please, you were there ringside to watching Thomas's kind of best performance to date, I think. And please give me overall thoughts and any questions for Thomas.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just want to I'll chime in on the Rookie of the Year thing. I think because Griffey didn't win either match, I think now it makes more sense for you to win. Here's why: because the Star Wars division has gone to another level the last couple of years, and the fact that you as a rookie came out of that of this season undefeated with the belt is a testament to the kind of year you had as a rookie. I agree with you. If Griffey would have won either or both, there's no conversation. But because he lost, it opens the door for you as in a singular division to show how great your season actually was because of the people you beat and the fact that you were undefeated. I think you earned my vote because I was, before Griffey kind of went on this run, I was like, well, it's Thomas Harper, no question. And then Griffey kind of put more doubt into the conversation, or put more question into the conversation. But because he didn't win, I think he has a better chance of Player of the Year, not Rookie of the Year. I think hands down now you should be Rookie of the Year because of how tough the Star Wars division has become over the years. Because Damon was playing maybe 1 or 2 times a year before last year and this year. The fact that the belt changed hands a couple of times this year alone, and then you ended up having and being undefeated is a testament to your season. So you should be Rookie of the Year for that reason alone.
I appreciate that. I think, and this is no shade on Alex because he plays, as we all do, whoever's in front of you.
Yeah.
I think I've had the harder slate of competition. We both had a 6-game win streak. I think across 6 games, I had the harder slate I played ace just like he did. I've played both. Whenever you play a Di Milanta, you're playing both of them. Let me make that abundantly clear. You were playing 2 Di Milantas at once. So I've played the Di Milantas twice. And Nikki wasn't physically present on that first match, but she was there. And Andrew wasn't, he was physically present off stage, but he was absolutely right there. Those are two absolute titans that come as a pair in this league. And so I think on balance, my 6 wins, they speak for themselves. I also think this business, it sort of annoys me from time to time. People, when it comes down to arguing stuff like this, or like to throw shade at Star Wars as being just 12 movies. That line gets thrown out there, and if it were really that, if it were that simple, then why are there not more crossover players? There's not, other than Adam Witt. Adam Witt is the only player that has ever crossed over. And do you know how many wins he has in Star Wars? It's 0, despite being very, very good at Star Wars. He's an exceptional player and an exceptional Star Wars brain that probably knows more than the vast majority of fans out there. And he hasn't had that kind of luck, that kind of that finisher. And so I think that speaks for itself. But when you got to know the entire script at this point for 12 movies, when you've got to know the entire, not just, I'm not talking about 10 deep on IMDb. I'm talking bottom of the cast list on IMDb. When you've got to know these books and stuff like that. There was a Y-Wing question infamously that I missed against Andrew. The answer to that, the canonical answer, is only found in the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker. That ain't in the movie. It's not in the visual guide. It's not in anything. It's in the book about the movie, right? So the breadth that people talk about, a limited breadth, it really isn't. It is in the sense that there are 12 films that you have to study. But if you look at my notes, I've got hundreds of pages of notes beyond any kind of flashcards or whatever, just on these 12 movies, I guarantee you there's not anybody in singles or teams that has the depth of material to study that Star Wars does. I think and you hear people like Bateman that are sort of students of the game and talk openly about strategy and their approach. They talk about it, and there's a certain impossibility with singles and with teams that guides your effort. And that's sort of how Dragon Con is as well, in a way. Because the scope is unlimited, you have to focus your efforts. So, yeah, you could get hit with a question on a movie that you've never seen and you didn't know exists. That's absolutely possible, in the same way that it's possible that you could get hit with a Y-Wing question about a name that's in a book you haven't read, that's not in the movies, right? But at a certain point, like Bateman, there's no singles player that's out there watching every movie. Bateman famously did like a breakdown of the time. Like if you spent 10 hours a day just watching films, you would just scratch the surface of what they did. So the singles players that really truly succeed are those of two types. One, they have an institutional knowledge of film because that's the what they've grown up with. That's the industry that they work in. That's a built-in advantage. That's like the Alex Damon type Star Wars player. Like that's their job. But two, they're the players that have that. They've grown up with film, but then they look at the game and break it down tactically. And that's why you see these narrow slices appear in round two. There are only a handful of players that are ballsy enough to put these wide open slices on the wheel. And so that leaves, the players like Griffey Nooms that are at the top, the players like Marisol that are at the top, that are smartly focusing their efforts on these contained universes. Now, there are more of those universes than in Star Wars, but to say that Star Wars is somehow easier by some measure than singles because of the capped movie limit, I just think that's a big erroneous argument that just ignores the reality of this division. And I would invite anybody that says that to come play me. I'll play you on no prep. I'll play on no prep whatsoever, and we'll see who comes out on that. Yeah, it's like listening to a Star Wars match. If you haven't dove to the depths, it's like listening to Mandarin get spoken if you're not a native speaker. Like, you're like, what is this? Okay, I guess those are Star Wars words, but yeah. So that's a defense of the division. That's not a defense of anything that I've done. I get we're a very tight knit community in the Star Wars division because we know the trenches that we fight in and day out. And for my money, I'm not going to say any division is easy because none of them are. But for my money, Star Wars is the hardest because of the depth and the particularity. I mean, the bonus question, he's referred to as Commander Cody. Sam Levine was absolutely right. Nikki was absolutely right. That ain't the answer that they were looking for. Clone Marshal Commander. You want to know how many times that was mentioned in those 12 movies? 0. So, the Star Wars division is in the movie trivia Schmoedown, but it is really just world-class Star Wars trivia, and that happens to be anchored in those 12 movies.
I know I've talked to Boggs a bunch. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan, a massive Star Wars fan, and sometimes I'm like, what are they even saying?
I don't know. Have I seen these movies?
Right.
That's how I feel when I watch IG. I'm like, I guess I haven't seen a Marvel movie. I don't know.
Well, Thomas, I also wanted to give you props on because we're talking to Rocha about character work. I have to commend you because obviously you're not an actor.
No.
You don't do stage performance.
Obviously, you're not an actor.
But I must tell you, sitting there in the crowd, watching you come out, and I said this before you came out, so I'll say why you're here. It looked like you were just a soldier. Like you were if you put a weapon in your hand, it felt like you were just coming out of a Humvee or something. Right. Out of a battlefield, you looked the part, with the Star Wars belt. So the stage presence you had for this being kind of your first live event, your first kind of interaction with the Star Wars crowd as a competitor was remarkable. I think you and Mike Kalinowski had the best stage performance that night of kind of feeding the crowd and getting into the crowd and getting into that hype. So I want to just commend you because obviously this is not your day job. This is not what you do. Yeah. But the fact that you had the crowd eating out of your hand and the Pledge of Allegiance was hilarious. I loved it. I know people were booing you, but people were doing it. I was doing it. It was amazing. Yeah, it doesn't pick up well when you're watching on YouTube, but in the audience, people were doing it. Like, it was great. So I just want to like where
and Kate in the back too.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of ask you, like, the heel turn was something that I didn't necessarily see coming. I don't think a lot of other people did, because during the year you just had to give off this confidence, this aura of like, I'm a great Star Wars competitor, but then to see you kind of turn heel is a natural progression to kind of where your character was the entire time. But I'm just kind of interested to know, like, where do you kind of see your heel turn going further next season? Because I think you just scratched the surface. I love the fact that you can easily just like play up the military angle and kind of like start yelling at people like in the crowd of like you're not like I think you just scratched the surface. Just talk to us about like your heel turn.
I thank you, first of all, for saying that. The character piece was something that was really important for me to deliver on, because I think early in the season I took reasonable flack for just my demeanor. I get really in a tunnel when I play, and it's even easier to do that when you're just sitting in front of the computer screen. Like, I'm in, like, below the screen, I'm in sweatpants, and I'm like, there's nobody here giving any feedback on these StreamYards where they're recording. There are people watching, but they're off screen. They're not visible to you. You just see Christian and Mark or whoever the announcers are, and then your opponent, and that's it. And very, very different. And so it was important for me to evolve the character. So Kate and I worked and kind of sprinkled that stuff in. That's why stuff like Gold Leader and I worked really hard collaboratively across the season, although it might not seem like that, to have this. Because before the season, really outside of Laura Kelly, there wasn't much character work at all in Star Wars. I mean, that was a big knock on the division. Like, if you want to see Star Wars nerds like answered tough questions, then that was a cool division for you. But if you were looking for character work, you needed to look elsewhere. And so somebody like Gold Leader came in and instantly made his mark on the division. And it was important for me to not just find my footing there, but to provide an evolution. And I didn't know that the heel turn wasn't kind of mapped out until the end of the year, but that was an opportunity. Like, when I learned about that and whatnot, I was like, that needs to be seized upon, right? That's something that can be capitalized upon on top of or in addition to whatever happens after the match with how we handle the roster move. And so I talked to Kate, and we talked about how we would come out and this Pledge of Allegiance business and stuff. And so it was kind of a total package. But, I saw folks sort of react to Griffey's performance. Like, he was incredible in New York. I sat there up in the rafters watching him, and I said, I can't do that. Right. He's incredible, and he's a trained actor. Like, I can't quite maybe yet get to that level, but I can do that. I can get some laughs. I can deliver on stuff. And people were rightly congratulatory of him for delivering on the character and playing high level trivia. Because I mean, that KO there was something else, or TKO, whatever it was. To do both of those things simultaneously is really tough. And I said, I think I can do it. I'm not going to be one of those players that tries to do a couple funny things on stage and falls on my face trivia wise. So to be able to do that was really important. I think going forward, I love the idea of kind of leaning into a little bit more of the Sergeant Slaughter, like drill sergeant mentality. I don't know. I'm never going to be Shundrew, right? Like, he has a particular brand of heel that has its own space here. I have the seeds built with Gold Leader that's not going away. Unfortunately, he's not going away, and so he and I are destined to grapple forever. I just found his audition tape, so I plan to do a reaction video to that, which will be great.
Yes.
But I think that's something like collaboratively working with folks. Now I feel like I have a little bit more direction on what I can do with my character and sort of an idea of what I can be, and that allows me to tap into my own experiences and sort of. I've never served as a drill sergeant, but I've had them yell at me on many occasions. And so I have this reservoir that I can tap into and channel that. And so what was funny was, coming into Spectacular, I said, there's nothing that I'm not going to say anything against Nikki. Like, that won't play well. That's not going to work well. That's where the business, I turned to her and the bit about having a weekend without the kids, like that was something pre-baked.
I love that moment.
But I'm not gonna it's not gonna play like that. Doesn't make any sense. Like I haven't, other than Gold Leader, I haven't personally come after anybody, and so like to do it there, it made no sense for the character or anything, and so that was never in the cards. But I said, I don't mind coming after the audience in that sort of over the top sense, and it actually worked really well because up on the stage, it just seemed like all booze. I saw a few people. It was very hard to see up there. So I saw a few people doing the little Pledge of Allegiance. And I was like, okay, all right, I got something for y'all. And there was a point at the match. I wish I had done it. There was a point at the match where, she's getting big cheers after all her right answers. And I almost leaned into the mic and was like, you can applaud for me too when I get stuff right. I'm getting questions right here. But no, I'm really excited about it. I think I can carve out my own pathway here and not have to, I don't need to duplicate what anybody else is doing and still have fun with it. I would love to be sort of the heel that folks are like, I want to root against you, but I kind of like what you're doing here. Like get over on the crowd. I don't know. We'll see.
No, but the Sergeant Slaughter stuff, that's your North Star. You don't actually have to mimic, especially when he turned heel, you don't have to mimic that. But I kind of, in that vein, I think if you do stuff like that and just like have almost kind of like a military list of things, and there's so many different ways you could take it. So I'm like, I'm here for it. Like, sign me up.
So I do want to throw it to my mic, but just before I do that, I think FCL compared to Sean Wimblade said something in the chat earlier. I'm just reading it now. Can I ask a question? # where is Brenner's belt? Is it resting on Rex's waist?
Yeah, well, I'll say very briefly. I went on a passionate tirade the other night about this, but it is not resting with me. But if anybody is listening to this, that's a power that be, know that one, there's a champion out there that does not have his belt, and that's Brennan Marr. He earned it. I listened to that match. I played along with it and had a rough go of it as I played along with it. Like, no joke, he earned that belt, and that was in October. It is now December, about to turn to 2022, and he does not have his belt yet. He has done everything logistically behind the scenes that he needs to do to get the belt. So I don't care who's listening to this. If you have even the smallest role behind the scenes, work to get him this belt. And if you're a person that has this belt currently, do the right thing, box it up. I know it's crazy this time of year, but the guy earned it. You only have so much time with these belts, whether by your ability to compete or just the nature of this competition. He deserves to have it in his house, in his possession right now. So it's been too long. Just do the right thing. Take care of this guy. Take care of this champion. He deserves it.
Well said, Cham. Another comment as well. Galaxy Geek saying that you should host a Star Wars show yourself. I definitely agree with that. Obviously, have your comment there. And Jungle Prayer, I did see your comment. Sean didn't highlight it, but Soul told me in private chat. So yes, I appreciate that. But Mike, please, any overall thoughts on the match? Harper's season. Any specific questions for him? You always ask good questions. So go ahead.
I mean, I'm always like, every time I think I know anything about Star Wars, I watch a Star Wars match, and I'm like, I don't know damn thing.
What's a Star War?
I don't know. I don't know. Which one's Spock? I don't know. So I'm always thrilled to watch these matches because it's just like it's like I see when they would put the clips up on like TikTok of the matches, and you'd see the comment section on the videos where everyone's commenting just like, I have no freaking idea. And it's like, no, none of us do. With it getting as like splitting the atom as it's starting to get, like, obviously we don't know kind of what the future is with Star Wars movies right now. So do you kind of think that maybe inevitably they're going to have to start incorporating stuff like the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett into some of this? Like, how realistic do you think that is?
I mean, I think there are two ways to look at it. There's the competitive side and there's the entertainment / business side of it. I think it makes sense to explore at the very least a shakeup of round 2 to address both of those issues. You don't need to expand or dive into non-film material to do that. I think you can if you go back and look at some of the original Star Wars matches, that wheel looked very, very different. It looked a lot more like the FCL wheels did this season than it did now. So I think you inject strategy that way. I think if you take those round 3 categories that have been around for a while and make those available, start offering like singles and teams do, like, hey, you could put your 2 slices on the wheel or whatever. And those slices are stuff like vehicles, weapons, and tech, or planets and locations. Like, that starts to get real interesting. And maybe somebody does choose to put a movie on there as one of their choice slices. I don't know. But if you turn the wheel from just, hey, the predictable 8 to 10 to 12 movies to something that's wild and crazy, I think that would be a good starting point that would address both competitiveness and entertainment. Because right now, like, if there's I think you can count on one hand the number of steals there were this season, maybe a little bit more with this last tournament. And whenever they happen, they're significant. But it would suddenly turn round 2 from like this, like, well, they're both going to get 10 or 9, into much more singles-esque, like, this could make or break a game for somebody. This could really turn a game, not just because the match, both players are going perfect, but because, like, maybe this is a bomb category for somebody that we never knew about when you're only answering questions. And it keeps players more agile, because when you hear A New Hope, your brain just locks into that. When you hear planets and locations, it's like, I know there are planets in Star Wars. Let's see what comes up with this. Like, I don't know. I think when you talk about the movies and the TV shows, I do think I see both sides of the argument. I do think that the way the fandom pendulum is swung has gone completely toward TV shows. The production value, the money that's being poured into these things are equivalent, if not more, than a feature film. And so when you watch something like Mandalorian, like, it's by design that you feel like you're watching a movie. And so I understand the hang up, like, well, this is the movie trivia Schmoedown. That would be diverting down the path. But this division, as I mentioned earlier, has not been the movie trivia Schmoedown in a long, long time. That's okay. That's okay. If you want to rebrand it, if you want to split the division off and kind of call it something a little bit different, that's totally fine. I think change is necessary sometimes. But I think it would be kind of, I think you could contain it to a small screen slice, or maybe a season slice or something like that, and you still inject some absolute chaos into these matches. I look at that IG match, the Mike versus Parker match. The reason that people enjoyed that match so much, myself included, because I was up there like biting. I had no nails after that match. I was just biting them to the nub. But it was back and forth, right? It wasn't whoever blinks first is out. You know, Mike is down seemingly significantly in round 1. It swings back. The punches land in round 2, and the pendulum goes the other way. And nobody can predict where this thing is going. It's like a classic, like, you pick your sport, and it's like a classic title fight, right? And there's a reason that match was, at least from my view, the runaway favorite for match of the night, or the most popular match of the night. Have that in Star Wars. There's a way to get to that point. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the idea of, like, getting dinged with questions. But the world that I come from in Dragon Con, I've never had a perfect game in that match. There are questions missed. I keep track of every game and every player and how they do in the finals there. And there's, like, questions missed all over the place. And it's always really interesting and a fun ride. And I think you can inject some of that pretty easily without a seismic shift in how things are working right now.
No, I agree. I'm kind of two minds of it as well, because I understand it's supposed to be the movie trivia Schmoedown, but with Star Wars and with topics like Middle Earth, like, I can't even begin to tell you how many questions from Star Wars or Middle Earth are not in the movies. You have to have read the books to get, what's the name of so and so's sword. So with Star Wars, I kind of, in the same way, it's like, okay, yeah, these things aren't movies, but if I'm already having to read books to answer half these questions, we've already, cracked that ceiling. So that's me.
Yeah, I'll say, like, I think that they have to change round 2. Like, no, they have to. Like, I think it's a necessary thing. Like, imagine having like a C-3PO slice, or a whatever, a Kira slice, or whatever. Yeah, like, I think they need that. Yeah, a Vader slice, Palpatine slice, whatever. And then, because obviously you're getting questions from well, especially with C-3PO, literally every movie, right? So yeah, your mind's all over the place, and obviously, you know, there's like a mixed bag element to it, but yeah, that's definitely something that's there, because you can ask you know, a quote there, you can ask something context, you can ask something from a novel, you know, whatever. So it's so much harder. And like
you're making me rethink my position here.
Right? No, it sounds like you're kind of not I want to say jealous ain't the right word, but like you're dying.
No,
well, obviously you said you don't want to miss questions, but you want to have that exciting. Obviously it is exciting when someone goes perfect, and but you want to have that toe to toe where, you know, imagine you doing, you know, like a come from behind win, that kind of thing where someone, I don't know, several questions missed and things. I think your ace match was a little bit like that. That's the closest thing, but yeah, I mean, it just make the current iteration of the game, the Star Wars division, so much more exciting if all on round 2, like you're saying that. Yeah,
totally. Well, I think an avenue to, as a pro to having like the shows like The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and so on involved is because there's things that are going to be referenced and shown in that show that affect the movies. So like, and I think the MCU is going to have that exact same thing. Like spoiler for Hawkeye, the first appearance of Kingpin is not in a movie; it's in Hawkeye. So like, there's certain things that are in these shows now that are going to affect movies. So it'd be weird not to have some kind of. I agree with Thomas in terms of just like having a slice. Maybe it can't be asked in other rounds. But if you want to have a Mandalorian slice, I think that makes perfect sense because there's things that happen. Luke shows up in The Mandalorian. So, I mean, like, it would make sense to be able to be asked questions like that in a specific kind of way. And I think round 2 is a good way to do that.
Yeah, and the Star Wars canon is
just
built
spoiling
like
everything.
I know, right?
But the canon is built like that. It unlike the MCU is I think on that sort of in that ballpark, but Star Wars canon since the reboot since 2015 has really been as interconnected as possible by design. And if you watched the investor call from last year when they talked about some of these film and TV plans, that integration is only going to grow between the small screen and the big screen, where they're going to have, I think we'll see what happens with it, but they describe these like payoff movies where a show like the upcoming Ahsoka show may culminate into a feature film event. And so there's going to be some natural synergy. The competitors are already out there watching it and stuff like that. But I think you start to tip the scales a little more towards singles, where you're injecting a lot more content. At a certain point, it's going to be impossible to you're not going to be able to study, 50 hours of TV plus the 12 movies the same way that you can study the 12 movies right now. And that's okay. That's okay. The division doesn't need to always exist. And I think one thing that's really hurt the division in terms of its popularity and ability to draw in new fans is because it's so specific, because fans like you, Saul, like feel that there's a barrier to entry that shouldn't be there. Like you shouldn't watch, like I don't need to watch, like I don't watch singles and walk away. I walk away thinking like, I need to watch some more movies, but I don't walk away like deflated thinking, geez, I suck. But I think there are some people out there that watch these Star Wars matches, and it's not just like you're like, oh, I haven't seen that movie. It's these insane level details where, I don't know how entertaining it is for the average fan. And I don't know if the metrics for views and stuff like that meet out, but like, I'm pretty sure that a Star Wars match is not getting the same views as like, a singles match with a Griffey Nooms or something like that. And so from a business and entertainment standpoint, I think you can inject some of this stuff, force us to adapt and draw in new people in the process, people that maybe didn't discover Star Wars except through some of these TV shows, and now they can play it. And the question writers have more freedom to roam. Not everything has to be down to this like deep core level depth. They can throw in some more surface level questions, and that's okay. That could still be challenging because of the breadth that you're inserting.
Brilliant. So we've got a few. Oh, sorry, Saul. Please go ahead.
I was going to say, and to be fair, when I watch along, if I get a question right, I'm so excited.
That's me and
like,
IG.
Yes.
I got what was it? It was like question 2 or 3 in the single in Griffey's match. It was about the Martian. It was not a hard question, like objectively, but I was so happy when I got it. I was like, I forget who I was standing up on the balcony with, but I was like, I know this. That was it. I was KO'd by round 1.
Yeah, I played a fan match recently, and I was like, if I get a question right, I'm gonna celebrate like I've won the match.
That's fitting. Yeah,
because I think for me with movie trivia, it's just watching how good other people can be. So I've never walked away from it going defeated, but I'm sure like there's probably other people who like they might feel that way watching.
It's not even that. It's not that. That's maybe a mischaracterization. It's just that like I don't need this, or there are fans out there, because I know I feel this way, where when you feel like, you feel like when you tune in, like I'm a big fan, and then you see something like that happen and you're not able to keep up. There's just other content out there that doesn't give you that feeling and that you can enjoy. And the Schmoedown is in a space, not that there are other comparable movie trivia competitions out there, but there's a wealth of Star Wars content out there from people like Alex Damon, from people like Eckert's Ladder that are competing for the same time, the same fans, and their limited time. And so I think finding a space that's a happy medium where you keep those people invested while we're delivering on character and some of these unique aspects to get people more invested. I think that's that can only draw positives.
Good. So we do have a number of patrons coming.
Oh yeah.
So let's get them in. Sean, who is the first patron, please, if they're ready? And you're on mute, my friend.
I'm sorry.
Taken by a Sith.
Your intros are so good.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it.
Vader was sucking my voice. He was sitting. I can feel this person's excitement because he was sitting right next to me. The director, Alan Smithy.
Hey.
Hello, sir.
How's it going? Ultimate
Good to see you.
Aftershow. Thomas Harper, Star Wars champion of the world, future Rookie of the Year.
Me.
How's it going?
You're going to get kicked out of the Outlaw Nation, I think.
You
utter such a blast.
I paid the $30. That buys me another 6 months in the Outlaw Nation. So. Anyway. But Thomas, for my one Star Wars, I'm just going to say for me, in 2008-ish is when I got really reinvigorated into the world of Star Wars by the Clone Wars, not movie, but the TV program.
Yeah.
Are you a fan? And if so, what is your favorite episode or story arc in the Clone Wars? And hopefully it features Y-Wings.
Great question. I absolutely love the Clone Wars. You're speaking of a time when that was the only new Star Wars. My first celebration was 2010, Celebration 5.
Cool.
There was a new season of Clone Wars dropping, and the Blu-ray for the original trilogy and the prequels, and some unreleased deleted scenes. And those two things were generating as much excitement as the new films do now. So I'm right there with you. My favorite arc is probably, I go back and forth on a lot of these, but probably the Umbara arc with Pong Krell, where this betrayal of a Jedi Knight against his clone troopers, and it features a little bit of legalness in there with a kind of a court martial that doesn't really happen. But yeah, really good
execution.
arc.
Hey, and that Umbara, the whole planet and like all of the fighters and the tech, they generated like a whole new world for just that story arc that they never went back to. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I agree. That is one of my favorites. I also love landing at Point Rain because it's just a huge battle.
Star Wars
early
D-Day.
on when I was like, is this show really going to get epic? And it got epic. In that episode.
Yeah. I love the behind the scenes was Lucas was just like, I want D-Day. And that was his direction. And then they made it happen.
All right. Well, great to meet you, Thomas, and enjoy, and good luck in future endeavors. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Bye, director.
Later,
everybody.
Sean?
Our next one is I can feel his drunkenness from across the pond. Drunken Pair.
Good to see you again.
I'm glad I took those fingers down before you came on air. Love you too, Sean.
I see. Don't let. I see your Grogu behind you. I see that, and I'm very proud.
Did you see the?
Oh, nice.
The
spot.
Well played. Well played. I like it a lot.
It wasn't deliberate. I'm also wearing a Millennium Falcon t-shirt right now. It was not planned.
You don't need to suck up. It's okay.
Oh, fine. I was gonna be nice to you until now. Hey, Thomas,
Good to
nice
see you again.
buddy.
Yeah, good to see you again.
I'm gonna go the complete opposite from Smithy. I'm gonna go instead of the best. I'm gonna go. Who's the worst Star Wars character?
Oh, jeez.
And take that any way you choose, morally, philosophically, whatever way you choose.
Oh man, that's a really good question. This is kind of an obscure reference, but I do not like at all in the Clone Wars. There's this police inspector named Tan Devo. He is so he fills a role, and I'm glad that they feature a character like him in there, like somebody that's trying to solve a crime. But he's incompetent. He's annoying. I don't know why they felt the need to give somebody in Star Wars just give him hair. Like he just looks ridiculous. Like. The whole 9 yards. I've always been really annoyed by him. I like the arts that he's involved in, and there's a book, Scum and Villainy, that's a fun book out there, but it features him heavily in it. And I just remember opening it, I'm like, I appreciate the commitment to story, but why? You could have just created a new. He's not the only police inspector, but sure, why not?
Can we hear about him on Legal Geeks?
Yeah, all the things that he does wrong.
Does he have sunglasses and does he take them off and go, oh yeah?
What?
What's yours?
Oh no, I get Macho Man and the guy from CSI mixed up again. Sorry, happens all the time.
Oh Lord.
He might drop lower on my list if that were possible.
Joker Pro, what was your worst character, or who is it?
I didn't have an opinion. I just really wanted to ask. I'll go that way. Trash compactor drawing just because.
Stop
your job is trash. You're trash.
He did say any reason, so I mean he's following his own rules.
Very fair.
I mean, morally, C-3PO because he's a neutral party, and being neutral sucks.
Yeah.
You've got to have an opinion.
I did not like C-3PO as a kid. I'll say that. I am very much a fan of C-3PO now, but as a kid, I didn't like him talking trash to R2-D2 because I was an R2 fan. I thought it was boring. Yeah. He could have gotten blown into pieces. And honestly, if he in Empire, when I first saw it, I was like, I hope they don't put him back together.
Wow.
I've come around. I'm a 3PO fan now, so.
R2-D2 he's the hero of the series.
This is true.
They'd be all dead if it wasn't for him.
This is true.
Jar Jar's the ultimate villain.
Oh damn it! I wish I had that Lego figure. I bought my wee cousin now, my wee nephew. What a wee Lego X-wing. So I don't know how he got into Star Wars. Not my fault.
He's down the wrong path already with X-wings. Get him into Y-wings.
Give him 15 years and he'll be beating you.
Probably, yeah. There's a young Dragon Con player who's very good that will crush all of us one day once he's of age and can enter the Schmoedown. So I'm just biding my time.
I've seen that kid play on the when it was on YouTube, and I was like,
yeah, he's good.
Damn.
He's good. I have to get my my accolades while I can before I get crushed and run out of the league.
Yeah, we're all getting over the hill. One day your knees will start going snack packle and pop as well.
That's true. That's very true.
For anything else? You good, Joker Prayer?
Oh, wait, I thought you were asking Thomas. No,
we're asking you.
Your name's Joker Prayer, right?
I don't know why you guys keep having me on. No.
Because you're a patron, you keep coming on. So
we just want to hear that beautiful Scottish accent. That's why.
That's right.
I mean, no, Thomas, genuinely, thank you, man.
Good to see you again. Always a pleasure. Yeah.
And salute.
See you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Great.
I just want to shout out Smithy going, I'm surprised Thomas didn't say gold leader as his least favorite.
As in Lando Calrissian when he stole the nickname, or the call sign.
Yeah.
Any more, Sean?
No, we're good. I know we have some Discord questions for Thomas, and thank you for staying this long, Thomas.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
All right, let me go to the Discord. And the first two I saw is from Drunken Prayer and the director, which they're
I know.
Let's go hear from Justin Toner. He wants to know, what is it about Star Wars franchise that made you a fan?
Darth Vader, hands down. I think as a kid, I'm watching on a bootleg VHS, but the moment that he steps on to Leia's ship and is just like surveying the carnage, like he didn't need to fight in that battle, but you just like the first image of him, you're like, he could have wrecked everybody. These stormtroopers are just window dressing, right? And then you see him in this scene here.
Mm-hmm.
I was sold immediately, like a little bit terrified, but he sold me. Just to date, the most iconic, the most unique movie villain out there, and every story that we've gotten that fills in his backstory since then is just, I drink it up. So it started with Darth Vader, it will end with Darth Vader with me.
And I'm gonna go with Drunken Prayer here too, because this is a pretty good question. It goes, what's your favorite fantasy sci-fi movie franchise, not including Star Wars? If you take Star Wars out of it, what's your favorite franchise?
That's really tough because outside of Lord of the Rings, I feel like there's such and Harry Potter are all like good, like pretty good, except for the newer ones. I think you can make an argument they don't hold a candle to the original series. Yeah. But there's such an unbalance, like Alien and Aliens for me, or Terminator and Terminator 2. To me, if like that were those respective franchises and they just not touched them, or like Predator and that was it, it would be a horse race between one of those three. But the additions onto those just make it, and I'm a sucker because like every time a new Terminator or Alien movie or Predator movie comes out, I'm like, this is it, this is where they're gonna right the ship, and it never happens, and I just fork over my cash. But yeah, I think outside of like your comic book movies, it would have to be Lord of the Rings, and I would never hold a candle in IG or anything like that. But just, and again, I don't include The Hobbit in this because I think that to me just didn't stack up at all to the original trilogy. But that's such a perfect trilogy right there. I can watch them if I've got, I guess, an entire weekend to dedicate to the extended versions. It's just so good from start to finish. They never get old. To me, they don't age, just like Star Wars doesn't age. I wish it were Aliens or Terminator, but you know, it comes back to Lord of the Rings for me. That also hit at a really it hit at a perfect time in my life as a kid. I was reading the books sort of simultaneously as the movies came out, and I was I think the first one came out when I was in middle school or something like that, and so it was like fishing with dynamite. So like, how are you gonna be a kid and not be enthralled by all that stuff? So yeah.
Favorite Lord of the Rings movie?
Return of the King. Yeah, that's the easy answer. I don't know. But I'll never forget my buddy when we saw that in theaters. My friend, who was the best man at my wedding, his cell phone. It's the almost the start of the end battle, and the orcs are coming across the water, and the theater is silent, and his cell phone rings. It's on ringer inexplicably. It's just like really loud, and then the lead orc goes quiet, and it was like right after the ring, and we were like, oh.
You turn to him like, what?
Yeah.
Did you plan this?
Get the hell out of here.
And I guess that will be the rest of the questions. I apologize for that moment of silence.
No, all good, all good. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Thomas. You've been on for way over your allocated time. Don't want to take up too much of your time. Any final words of the season? Obviously, pleasure being on so many times. Thanks so much for dedicating all that for us. But yeah, anything you want to plug, anything you want to say, or discuss. Obviously, you guys are, you've cut away the rest of the faction. Of course, you splintered off to do your own version of the den, which you're taking. You're going to have more of a say. Anything you want to address before we get you out of it?
I'll say two things. The only thing that I'm going to plug is for any fans that are still watching this or watching this on replay. Your voice matters, right? And so get Brennan his belt. Speak up. tag people that are in the league that may not be aware that this is happening, and do right by this exceptional player, this worthy champion that deserves to have what he has earned and what he should have in his, what quite frankly he should have had in his house by the end of October, early November. But let's make this right by him. As a community, we can stand up and help Brennan. He's one voice, but we together can be a chorus that help right this ship. The other thing is just a thank you to all of you. You've been very gracious. Before I had ever played in a match, you invited me on, gave me time, and talked to me. And I'm very thankful for that. I'd like to think that on some level, Kate or somebody in her ear maybe saw that and it influenced her decision to draft me. But everybody that's out there, whether you're a fan of me or just watch my matches, you're behind me in a sense, and I want to thank you for your continued fandom and support. And there's a lot of fun. I know that there are a lot of changes in the league that are in store for next year. I'm not privy to 95, 98% of them, but I know it's going to be a lot of fun. But I just want to say thank you. It's been a wild ride. It's been a really fun ride. But it starts and it ends with the fans, because without you guys, we'd just be answering questions in a black hole. And so that's what's kept it fun. That's what's kept it meaningful. And I just want to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Thomas.
To the major. We do have one last. We've got a Streamlab. So can you just get that for us, please?
Yeah. Is it the one? Where is it? Is it?
It's in the private chat.
Oh, I have to pull that up. You guys say it because I don't have that up.
Fired.
Is
So
it?
fired.
What? I don't see it. You guys say it. You have it.
No. Fox, guys, you do it.
Yeah, it is from Tuska, who I didn't want to read it because it was from him. But anyway, he says, Harper, thank you for your service. Great match. And don't worry, nobody saw about that. So nobody saw that about face.
Yeah, that was poor. I'm sure anybody that was in the military or served noticed my wobble. That was not alcohol induced. That was a lack of practice. I was like, we did a walkthrough and I was like, I should probably practice the about face. And then I was like, nah, I don't need to practice. And then you get what you get where I like wobble up on stage. But thank you. I'm glad somebody noticed, honestly.
I had no clue what I was reading there. So.
As someone who did marching band, I did notice the about face as well.
Yeah.
So military and marching band.
10 demerits to me.
It still works.
They would have just made you run.
That's right. Yeah. Run a lap around the globe.
Right.
I never would have known. Now I'm going to be looking at it like, oh yeah.
There's you're going to be able to see nothing else other than me awkwardly wobbling, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Champ,
thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Blast.
Can't wait to meet you next season.
Yeah,
and we'll see you when we see you, man.
Yeah, take care.
I'll see y'all.
Bye.
So, team. That's 2 matches. You know, we've still got 3 to cover. What I'll say, I'll just. No, I think we did kind of cover them earlier, right?
A little bit, yeah.
I'll just give my quick thoughts. You know, obviously, we'll just go through each match quickly, but obviously on the teams match, it just. I said it with Rocha. I thought the experience of Shazam came through. You know, King Arthur absolutely stepped up, won the tournament. You know, Khan proved himself, I felt, but just obviously them missing that kind of the betting round question kind of cost them the match, unfortunately. But it's a learning experience for them. And if they stay as a team, that knows that they're stronger. But Shazam just furthest, I think 3 defenses, I want to say that they're right now. So obviously going towards that 6 defense record, trying to tie, of course. And we'll see what they got next year. I mean, a lot of, you know, new teams, how many kind of current teams will be still playing next year? I don't know. So they're going to be hard to beat. They're just racking up defense experience, and it's going to take a special team to beat them, which isn't impossible. It's just right circumstances and stuff. But you kind of have to beat them in round 1. You have to be ahead, and then just, you know, kind of pushing to the end, hope they miss the 5. I think that's the way. But Sean, obviously you were there. Overall thoughts on the team's title match and current champs Shazam?
Yeah, it was just a great way to start off Spectacular. Like I think the crowd was super into it, and it was great to see. Even though I picked King Arthur in our picks, it was just great to see Shazam like get that monkey off their back with winning at Spectacular. It was well, we only lose this Spectacular, but no, that's not the case. And I think it's not blasphemy to say that I think Shazam could be considered the greatest team of all time, considering I think the amount of teams that they're beating now are better caliber of the teams that the Patriots were beating before. So, I mean, even if they don't get to that 6 or 7 title defenses, if they get 1 or 2 more, I think you could easily say that they're the greatest team of all time, considering the level of competition.
In general, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, I mean,
they've only had 2 losses.
Yeah. So it'd be very
12-2 or what's their?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, either 11-12 or 11-2 or 12-2. So yeah, I mean that's the biggest takeaway from their match is just their experience, and I think Bibiani had like the Grinch grin when he heard the 5-point of the Wizard. He was like, "There's no way." He was like, once I heard that, and you can hear the crowd go like, "Oh yeah, he knows what this is." So like we knew that they won even before he said it. It was like, we know he knows the answer. So it was just a great way to start off the night.
And that was the funniest bit of the match, or the best part, when Bibiani's doing a bit of kayfabe. Brendan's like, just say it. Just say it. No, just say it. Like, he just wanted him to say the 5-pointer. He wasn't like, no, let's win the match. Yeah, I'm tired of it. But I'll throw it to Mike next. Overall thoughts on the teams match, obviously, and that big win.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, like this, I never don't want to watch Shazam play in a teams match. It was always entertaining. And yeah, like you guys are saying, like it's hard to not look at them as one of the greatest teams of all time. The way their knowledge they complement each other so well. Like the two of them together don't have a lot of gaps. And it's actually kind of hilarious who's got like Brennan does really good at like these like the classics and stuff like that for being the younger guy, whereas Bibbs is really up on a lot of the newer stuff from the shows he does as the older guy. So it's kind of like that weird juxtaposition. And so yeah, I love this match. I mean, and it was just so like Sean said, what a way to start things off is with a match like this. It was yeah. What can I say that hasn't already been said?
Well said. And like with having Shazam on wherever it was a couple of months ago and hearing them two talk about how they just think about the game, like you can see how good they are like in round 2. It literally, like, when they communicate, you're like, oh, that's why they're badass. And how like they literally think about every single thing and how like they're so in tune with the game, and they're like deep thinkers about like everything. Like, and it shows that's the level you just got to be like. It's super impressive. But so any overall thoughts on this teams match? And King Arthur as well. I thought they played really good. Obviously, just that, like we said, that round 3 miss, right? That was the custom. Yeah.
And as sirens are going, I apologize for that.
They're coming to get you.
Yeah. Just the entertainment of this match from both teams. You have Shazam, who they're just entertaining to watch together. You talking about that too? Bibbs trying to play it up. There's no answer the question. Like, just the two of their dynamic with each other is just so sweet and endearing as Shazam. And then you have King Arthur, who's just so entertaining together. You have Khan dressed up in all his regalia. And I think he said too, like each match he was going to add something more to his outfit that he played. And so the fact that they made it too spectacular, and so he got to add more pieces to that outfit. And then just Griffey Newman is one of the most entertaining people this season and one of the most entertaining rookies that we've had. And so just these 4, you could even call them titans of trivia, even though 2 of them are rookies, and their entertainment, and that they didn't take away from their skill level too, that they were entertaining and they were good at trivia at the same time.
It's to confirm what we were talking about. Jacob's confirm.
Thank you, Tushka. Thank you.
That's gonna be hard. They have to travel an ocean, but
Shazam is 12-2.
Yeah.
And just this season alone, I mean, they had 4 wins, one of which was a knockout, one of which was a TKO. So they didn't
in a
just
title
win.
match as well, right?
Yeah, so they didn't just win, like they won hard.
Yeah.
Yep, they won in extra time. Sudden death against corruption as well. Like they should have such a variety.
And it also shows like I'm looking at the website right now. They got a steal rate of 100%.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you better not miss. You better not miss in round 2. They're stealing. Wow.
So when Boggs and when our team makes it into the Schmoedown, we got to go against Shazam. It's like we do not miss one in round 2 because they will take it from us.
Exactly. Well, you always go down to multiple choice. If you're not sure, you always go down to multiple choice.
They steal it anyway, so
Well, but then it'd just be 1 point, not 2.
Right.
Minimize the damage.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll move on to the next match, which is the IG match. Again, I'll just give my quick thoughts on it. I thought it was the best match of the night. Back and forth. I did think Harper was going to win, like during the match. Did I? I think I picked Harper. Harper.
I mean, Mike
Parker to win.
Oh, you picked.
Parker. Yeah. Did I pick? No, I don't remember actually. But I think I picked Parker to win. But as it was going, I just thought he was just that little bit ahead, and especially with Amaru, I felt like Amaru lost that in the final round rather than, obviously Mike hits 5 and Amaru missed his 5. That was it. But I just felt like, Parker's gonna will beat him based on that. But I think they both missed their 5, so they went into sudden death, and just the way, I just thought I was shocked, like he missed that question, to be honest, Parker. But there was chances to win in the match, but like Harper was saying though, they're the best matches when they go back and forth, one person behind, and then they both miss, and then it's sudden death. I mean, that's what you want to see. Great, characters as well, with obviously Shannon and Kaiser, Karnowski being, like the charisma and everything, just soaking it all in. I loved it. Like for me, it's between him and Marisol. I'm undecided on who is player of the year, because I think that's a badass run that he's on in IG. Beating Alex Damon, number 1 contender, beating the champ Mara, Chandru, Amaru, and Parker. Like what? Like I think that's the best 5-run record last season for me. So fantastic win, and much he deserves. He's the IG guy, full stop for me. But I'll throw it to Mike first, being the IG guy. Overall thoughts on this match, and any standout moments?
I mean, like you said, best match of the night. It's hard. None of the matches were bad. Hard to not pick this one though. Again, reading off stats alone, like you got Kalinowski and Parker going in together, and statistic wise, they're both basically neck and neck. The biggest thing where they differ is just in steals. Other than that, like accuracy rating is almost like within a couple percent points. Average points scored per match were within a couple of points. So these were 2 guys who were very much on equal footing in terms of what they can deliver in a match going against each other, and they both came in swinging for the fences, ready to. I mean, both of them were, to use a baseball analogy, both of them were Babe Ruth, pointing out and calling a shot. Kalinowski just landed, but he won. So that was just such an exciting part about going into this. It was hard to say I had one, because I really didn't. It was hard to favor one over the other, because this was 2 just absolute titans in this division going against each other.
Right. And the Black Widow situation, I don't know what's going on there. Don't know if he would have challenged, what would have happened. He just kind of accepted what Christian and Mark said, and then but I don't know, it was kind of weird, but he missed that. We'll go to Sol next. Your thoughts on the IG match, please.
Well, just commenting on Leah Logan's the Black Widow question, there was that moment, but a lesser player would make it that it would affect them for the rest of the game. And Parker did not let that happen. He still played his match, and it was still that back and forth, and it still went to sudden death, and he had a shot to win in sudden death. So I think we also have to give it to Parker, there was that hiccup. And if you go to the awful space of Reddit, Parker did address the question, because he went into the Reddit page and wrote this thing and saying he was specifically told that Black Widow wouldn't be asked about this year. And that's why he was very, like, I was told that by the question writers, this wasn't going to be asked. I was told, but then he kind of like, he took it on his chin. He's like, we need this match to continue going forward. So I can commend him, because he could have had a fit and just been like, no, we're ending this match right now till you give me another question. But he just went forward and he made it go to sudden death, and he was playing. I agreed too. The IG GOAT is Mike Kalinowski. That's why I picked him going in here. So the fact that he took the IG GOAT to sudden death, that's something to commend on Parker's end.
Yeah, for sure. I still don't know why he didn't challenge, though. I don't know if he addressed it in the post-match or anything, but with all that on the line, you know, if he was told that it wasn't and then it is, because Kalinowski was like, no, I don't think that's right. So, again, I don't know what's going on. I'd like to know what was going on there. But
I get it, because challenging, when you make a challenge, that's something that can throw you off so bad, because if your challenge is not upheld, then you're just pissed off the rest of the game.
Good point.
So I can totally see him being like, you know, pick your battle. You want to pick his battles.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I could challenge this, but ultimately, what's it going to solve? You know.
Yeah, and he's probably like, I'll probably lose this challenge, and I need it later.
He probably.
If I remember, he had a really hard round 2, and I think he only got a handful of points because he was going multiple and things like that. So yeah, it was a bit of a rough one there for him. But Sean, overall thoughts on this match? You know, obviously you were there. Yeah, how did it go down?
Was Sean there?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned it.
I might have been. It was a while ago now, but no, I think Logan is 100% right. The look on his face when he heard Black Widow, it's just like he turned into a ghost. Like, it was like, wait, we're not supposed to ask about that. And I agree with Soul. Like, I think that shook him in the moment, and then I think a lesser player, it would have crushed them, and we probably wouldn't even have went to sudden death. But the fact that he hung in there, and he went toe to toe with Mike, and is a testament to how good Parker is. And I think if he was going up against anybody else, Parker wins that match, in my opinion. But I think this match proves to me, and maybe to a lot of people, that Mike is not only the IG GOAT, he's on the Mount Rushmore of the Schmoedown. I mean, I don't think the amount of the things he's accomplished in IG, in singles, and in teams, it's hard not to put him up there. So for me, that win, he's cemented on there. He's next to Rocha and Dan, and the fourth one is debatable. I would have Rachel Cushion there personally, but I don't think, for me, it's hard to debate his legacy at this point going forward. And he's not done. The man's probably he's gonna have to face Smets again, or Chandru again, or Parker again, or even Chance again. So to see where he goes next season, I think he's just cementing himself, and maybe when he's all said and done, he actually might be the best Schmoedown player of all time. It's not that ridiculous to say that. He's on that path right now. So,
well, yeah, he's 5-time champ. But yeah, I kind of agree with Sean Wimblade here in the chat, saying the Black Widow question was the first of his in round 2. I felt like it did affect him for the rest of it. Yeah, because he spun Marvel, as far as I remember, and they were just all super hard questions. Mm-hmm. And I felt like he looked really uncomfortable from there. So I don't know if it was because specifically of that, or they were just so hard. But yeah, I do think.
But he picked himself back up, which other players wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I know you and I both love Jeff Snyder, but if that was something that happened to Jeff Snyder, he would have been gone for the rest of the match.
Not with Roxy there. Roxy's is his booster. So,
and I love Jeff Snyder.
Yeah. He's my number 4, by the way, Sean. The 1, 2, 3, 4 that you said, he's my 4th.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but anyway, and we'll go to the last match. Obviously, the headliner, which was Marisol against. The champ Marisol against Griffin Nooms. But yeah, it's just funny thinking about what Rocha was saying, if he was ill during that. Not that it makes a difference, but I think that it was just super close until that big miss in the second round. I've got this specific question. Someone put it in the chat for me, but yeah, he kind of just, I think it was it a brain fart? Was it just he thought the character? He got the question was about a different character. And then, because Marisol looked shocked, and then he stole it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" Literally the first actual. Obviously, he did miss the round 3 question against Shazam, but I think that's the first clear mistake that he's made, and that was his 12th match in a title match, just as it all came down to that, I was just like, oh man. And that was like literally the difference in the match. I think he missed his last question as well, but yeah, that was because if it was Marisol, I was thinking in Marisol, yeah, that's it, Bewitched question, yeah. I was trying to envision being in Marisol's shoes and like thinking this guy ain't gonna slip. Like in his previous matches, I don't think he's missed a round 3 question. Like as in his 2 and 3 and his 5, he's just super good. Unless I gotta go perfect because he's so good. And then when he slipped like that, I was like, oh, I think it's done. So yes, there we go. Thank you, Leo and Jeremy there. But surprised about that miss, but not surprised about the overall outcome. 2 defenses now, beating Ethan, Chance, and Griffin Nooms. Wow. I think Mike mentioned at the beginning of the show that we're talking like all time here. She's on the path. She's, the character stuff as well, and just like how passionate everyone is around her. I love all that. But yeah, I'll throw it to Sol first. Obviously, of course, you got to speak to Marisol in that press conference before. Was it a couple of days before? No, the Thursday before Spectacular, right? So, just overall thoughts on that and how she did.
I think I chose Griffey going in this, and I chose it for points wise, and I didn't really choose with my heart, because if I chose with my heart, I would have gone with Marisol, and it didn't work out for me points wise anyways. I'm still in 3rd place. I just wanted to beat Sean, and it didn't happen. But one of the question that I asked that day was 2 of the biggest moments as a woman watching the Schmoedown is Clark Wolf saying "We are the league" and her winning that belt. And the fact that Marisol still retained that belt, had that other defense, it's like you can't say anything against her as a player right now, or anything against the women are showing up in this league. And so I think just watching that was a powerful moment. The emotion afterwards, corruption going on stage afterwards too, like all the hugging and everything. It did bring a tear to my eye, because it's the women showing up in this league, and seeing Marisol get emotional that Thursday when I did ask her about that, and then seeing her still playing at the level that she's playing at, and then winning still, and then everyone else going up on stage. It's a powerful moment. And there's not really much words for it other than it's just a powerful moment.
Yeah, and I think, her kind of sword kind of prop get-up thing. I'll be honest, the first maybe time I saw it, I thought it was just literally a gimmick. But, watching these Spectacular, I think it's almost like intimidation factor. Like, I'm coming for you. I know it's obviously, it's a sword or whatever, but it's like you're like it's not off with your head kind of thing, but it's like, a bit like Gladiator-esque, like, oh, like you're losing this match. You're like, I'm badass and I'm coming for you. I think it's like a representation of that. But I'm kind of enjoying it now, because like the crowd's like really like kind of boosting her as well. So I just think it's like it's intimidating like walkout now that she's doing, so which is good. But Mike, I'll go to you next. Overall thoughts on the headlining match, please.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of reiterate like what I was talking about earlier, and then like you mentioned too, it's how do you not now put Marisol in that conversation of greatest players of that those top 4, that Rushmore of players, again, to be the first woman to win the singles belt and to defend it twice live, like other divisions haven't had that kind of belt defense. Maybe Kalinowski, you could talk, but again, that means we're putting her in the conversation of Kalinowski.
Dan, Sam Levine, Marisol McKee.
Yeah, it's Dan and Sam Levine are legendary lifers in this thing, and so it's to get to watch. Because this is the singles division. This is what the Schmoedown is based on. This is the bedrock of this whole thing. And this match was like, okay, this is the Schmoedown right here. Like, yes, we have Intergeekdom, Star Wars, everything else, teams, but this right here is the Schmoedown. When I want to introduce someone to the Schmoedown, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, nothing against any other matches that have ever happened, but this is the kind of knockdown, drag out, heavy hitting singles movie, straight movie trivia that I want to, someone who's like, what is this movie trivia Schmoedown thing? Like how do you explain it? You explain it as wrestling meets movie trivia. How does that make sense? This match right here is going to be in that list of ones. Like, you want to know what this is the match you watch. Like this, and I can maybe think of 3 others, but so that to me is like, for this match to me now is the quintessential movie trivia Schmoedown match. There's stakes, there's weight, and there's a real showing of talent, and coupled with the atmosphere of having this live theater full of fans cheering along with it, showing like, yeah, this is what the Schmoedown is and is supposed to be.
Right, and I just want to highlight one of Tushka's comments a couple of minutes ago about with stats. Quite intelligent for him, but like he's making legit point. Like Marisol's only had 15 matches, and we're talking about kind of Rushmore status kind of thing. So yeah, absolute credit to her. So Sean, overall thoughts on the match and what went down?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you with the sword thing. I just think it's like justice is coming for you, and I think I think I think you guys are right. I think she's in the conversation. I can't replace Rachel Cushing with her yet, but the fact that we're talking about it is a testament to what she's accomplished. And you're right. Defending her title not once but twice, and both at a live event, which is to me way harder to do than doing it via studio or doing it via on a stream. Live event, the crowd is there, they're hooting and hollering, and that crowd was rowdy. Like a couple of times they have to be told to shh, be quiet, you're too rowdy. So it was just Griffin, like he had a great year. He was kind of his matches were getting closer as he went closer along. Like he barely beat Bibbs. So the fact that I still thought he was going to pull it out, but it's just a testament to Marisol. I think she's on a great run. I think it's going to continue going into season 9. I'm just fascinated to see what she does. Is she still going to be on Corruption? That's an interesting case. So there's a lot of questions about her, but not about her gameplay at all. And her character work is great. I'm curious to see what she does with this Lady Justice thing. I love it. I want to see more blindfolds. It's sad that her and Rocha didn't have like a blindfold versus blindfold match. I think that would have been amazing, but sadly we'll never see it. Maybe
the Outlaw.
Yeah. I mean, maybe down the road when Marisol retires, maybe that's her last match. Is Rocha will come back or something. I don't know.
Mike,
but,
that's too good. Mike, that's too good. Justice versus the Outlaw.
They just come to me.
Yeah, Justice is coming for the Outlaw. Yeah.
I did want to highlight Drunken Prayer going, I'll put the Wild Berries as my 4th combined just because. And then also Boggs agreeing with Tushka, I need to stop drinking because I must have misheard that.
Yeah, I think maybe you misheard or something.
Yeah, the crowd loved the Wild Berries. They loved that. They ate it up. Like for me, it's just like, but yeah, the crowd ate it up like nobody's business, but to each his own.
It was a good surprise. Because even I did. I thought, who's that guy? What's he saying in the crowd? And I was like, oh damn. So yeah, it was fun.
I love the comment of, was he waiting every time he played a match in like a wig, just waiting for him to say Wild Berries?
And then because I thought for a hot second that Shannon was going to drop Chance. Because when she called him up, I was like, no, what are you doing here? This ain't funny.
I knew it was a swerve. I knew it was a swerve. I'm just wondering who they're actually going to drop.
Right.
I was like, it definitely wasn't going to be Mike. So,
right. Yeah, that was lucky. But then, moving on to the end, obviously Chanju stealing the show as he does seem to do with every live event now. We spoke about at the start of the show, but obviously brought the reveal, the return of Kevin Smets. Obviously, awesome to see him back. And as I said at the start of the show, the guy has stage presence. He's good on the mic. He just looks like, he's back. Like he never left. And the Lees missed him. Like I could say, I was messaging Shaw as I was watching it. Like we've missed this. Like, you know, someone just to pace up and down and like just, you know, talk to the people in the audience at home and talk to your opponent as well. And like, yeah, it was great. I loved it, and can't wait to see that match. Awesome match to have back, a bit of redemption for him. You know, a chance for Chandru to kind of double down. People saying, oh, you know, it was not a fluke, but like he caught him like cold kind of thing with that match. So, you know, it's an opportunity for both to prove that who's the better man, basically. So yeah, great matchup. And if I don't know if that's going to open the season or what, but should be like, I'd love that if that was like a elimination match or something. So can't wait for that. But I'll go to let's go to Mike first. Obviously overall return of Smets, and you guys were on the Smashathon when he was last there. You know, I wasn't there that day, but yeah, it must have been great to see him back, right?
Dude, I'm so all about Kevin Smets, man. Like, I remember the first time he showed up, I was instantly drawn to like this. I know we use the, because he's a smasher. I know we use the Hulk metaphor a lot, but he's kind of almost like this, like the Batman of inner geekdom. Like, he's just waiting in the wings, ready to drop down on somebody, crack some skulls in, and then jolly off and do whatever he's going to do. So to have him have this triumphant return, well, triumphant, but commanding return, because we knew it was coming. At some point he was going to come back. You know, obviously he's you know, in remission and getting the clean bill of health and looking good and healthy and happy and in a better place now, which we're so thrilled about. And the lights, the hoodie, like, just to see this jacked, intimidating guy coming down, just showing up like, I'm ready to ruin everyone's day. And there's something about that that's so enthralling, and I'm so happy to hear and see that he's back, and I'm so ready for 2022 now. Bring it on.
Yeah, they even got the lighting good with that, you know, the green lighting and the smoke look. It fully worked. And like Chandru with his ripped shirt, I want to fight. You know, it did go down well. And yeah, you know, even shout out to Chandru for putting him over, you know, Smets over. Yeah. That had to be the right guy for that to happen. I guess it could have maybe worked with Kalinowski, but I think it's better with Chandru. So yeah, because obviously they're gonna play each other, right? So yeah, that was super great. I'll go Sol next. Your thoughts on the return of the Smasher?
When Smets told us that he had cancer, he said two things: that he was going to beat cancer and that he was going to come back. And he did both of those things. And I think having the fan base and the support behind him and us just wanting him to get that good bill of health, he's talked about how that has motivated him and driven him and his wife and his child. And so just seeing him come back, and it's like his triumphant return. He hasn't even played a match yet, and it's a triumphant return. And I know I say I don't bet against Chandru, and I don't, because I will go Chandru, but my heart is with both of these players, and I'm going to be happy either way when they play. And it was such a fun thing to watch on stage, the two of them. Like, just the promos next year are going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, and honestly, the league missed him. I'll be honest. So it needs him, and I'm glad he's back. And I want to see. I missed him and Kaiser together as well. And it's such like they've got like a good, you know, kind of manager and coach thing going on. But yeah, them two together, a great pairing. But Sean, you were there. I've not mentioned it before, but you were there. Yeah, your overall thoughts. You know, it must have been. You know, what was the crowd reaction like? You know, like your overall kind of, you know, first seeing him and then what he said, and then what were there, how loud were they, and you know, give me the lowdown.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to Chandru, because I think that this thing only works with him, considering him and Smets' history. So it only works with Chandru's. But yeah, when he came out, like the crowd again, he had him eating. He had him right here in his hand. But then when you as his promo was going on, I was like, he's setting up Smets. It only could be him he's referring to, because he was mentioning everybody else but him. And then once you realize that, I was like, if someone's coming out, it's gonna be him. And then when you saw the lights and you saw him, for me, it was like he was in a time capsule this whole time. because it looks like the exact same guy we saw coming out at Spectacular 4. When as soon as he came out and he was like, "Oh, he's winning this belt. Mike's got no chance," and he destroyed Mike. And we're just saying Mike's on Route Mushroom, and Kevin Smith ate him for breakfast or lunch or dinner and brunch. So I mean, like it was just great to see that he almost didn't miss a step, and he's been gone for quite a while. So yeah, Soul is right. He said he was going to beat cancer and come back. He's done both those things, and to me, he's come back almost like he never left. So it's going to be great to see him, on stage, or that has to be a live event when he plays Chandru. I don't care where it is. If it's at that cantina or somewhere else. Smets versus Chandru has to be a live event somewhere, some shape or form next year. If it's in LA, and if I can go, I'm definitely going to go. But that moment was just electric. That's the only word I can use, electric.
Yeah, and yes, Ty, we're still going. Yeah, it's,
Yes.
3 hours. It's a spectacular review, right? It's 5 matches to go. This is nearly going on as long as spectacular, actually. So, yeah, but that's it. We are done now.
We're wrapping up, Ty.
Yes,
Ty's here. Okay, we're done. We're done now. Ty's here.
I don't think we're going to do any more shows for the rest of the year. Obviously the year's nearly done, but we'll do obviously like an awards show once kind of nominations are announced. We'll give our own kind of reviews and things like that. So let's do some plugs and stuff and get out of here. So
we got the points though, and you should want the points.
Of course, I forgot. Yeah, well, yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Am I in the lead?
Mike in last place with 37 points. John Barr with 91. Myself with 98. Sean with 99. And Boggs, you broke 100. You're at 104 points. You are the winner this year. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. I'll dedicate my win to Tushka. I'll be meaty all season. I'll give you that win, sir. That's my apology.
Is the Boggs beef over? Is it over?
It's never over, but I'm saying that's an olive branch. I don't hate you. That's all that is. So
next year, I'm coming for you, Boggs.
You're right. Yes. Yeah. We'll start from scratch.
Next year, I'll actually remember to put some picks.
I have the title.
JMB says, "Congrats, Boggs. Now heel turn."
Thank you. Oh yes.
I mean, you hesitated when you say. I thought you were going to say yourself. I was like, "Oh snap!" That's what I was waiting for.
Tushka goes, "I respectfully decline."
You can't do that. It's my win is dedicated to Tushka. So take it or leave it. But anyway, let's get out of here, guys. So we'll do some plugs and.
I'm sorry, drunken prayer. As a Scot, I fundamentally cannot agree with this.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, for me, obviously, you can just keep out, follow us on Twitter. That's one thing. We need to get our Twitter followers up. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment afterwards. Of course, we'll shout you out on the next episode. Check our review on the Pop Culture Universe. We'll be doing a spoiler review of Spider-Man Homecoming at some point of this weekend. We'll be dropping that, so check that out. No Way Home. In fact, Sean, why don't you just spoil No Way Home, because you spoiled Mandalorian and Hawkeye.
Well, Mandalorian's been out for quite a long time. Come on.
Yeah, I'll just play. But speaking of
Hawkeye,
Sean,
for a week though.
But yeah, plug what you need to plug, and please go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to plug anything, but say this. It's been a great year doing this show with you guys. I just want to thank Rocha for letting us come on his channel with open arms, and the support we've had from the Schmoedown community, from all the competitors we've had on. I just want to say, I can't name them all, so I just want to say, obviously, thank you for Thomas Harper for coming on today, coming on a lot. Chance. I'm gonna stop there because obviously I can't name them all. I also, like, John Barr is not here. I want to thank him. Colin Morris, I want to thank him. It's just been a great time for doing the show with you guys, talking to Schmoedown, and I just want to say you guys are the best. You guys have done a lot of hard work this year. Boggs, Soul, Mike, John, and you guys deserve any accolades that you get, but I will be the first to say, and hopefully I'm not the last, that you guys are great in this community, and I'm proud of what you guys that you're in this community and representing the Schmoedown, and I'm just proud to be working with you guys. So my shout out is to you and to John Rocha for making this happen, and for Mike for helping putting this together. So that's my spiel.
I'll say inclusivity is a strength, and diversity is the key. That's what I'll say to that, Sean. But Mike, please, let's plug what you want to plug.
I kind of want to reiterate a lot of what Sean said. You know, especially this particular year, I've had to be kind of the absentee director or whatever you're gonna do, just because of my work schedule and all that.
Yeah, Amadou was looking for you, man. I think he was on 5 times this year, and I think you missed.
He's like, are you ducking me, man? Are you ducking me?
Every time I got to make the damn thumbnail, it's like there's somebody else I'm not gonna get to talk to. Oh look, Amaru's back again. Awesome. Hey Sean, who's the guest this week? And let me guess, one of them's probably Thomas Harper, I'm sure. All right. But I want to give huge props to Sean for really holding the reins on the show. You know, my work situation is such that I'm not able to be around. For only reason I'm honestly even here today is because I called off work sick. And
he's actually sick. It's not.
He's actually sick. Right?
He's sick
earlier because I've been coughing up a lung all day. Not COVID. So like major props and respect to Sean for holding down the fort, and as well to John Barr, who's not here today, and to Boggs and the Soul. You guys have taken this show and really made it your own, and it's been so amazing watching you guys crush this every week that the show has been on. Thank you to everybody who's here in the chat with us every week. You know, Drunken Prayer with all your nonsense and shenanigans. The director Alan Smithy, Tushka, I mean, Brennan, get Brennan his goddamn belt. Seriously, Sean Wingblade, JMB, whoever the hell you are in the chat, you are awesome today. You have been so positive and so pleasant in the chat today. Thank you. Obviously to Rocha for entrusting me with putting this show together that I've basically had to be really hands off with. And I seriously cannot be more proud of what this show has done this year. And I'm so looking forward to what we're going to do in 2022.
Also, shout out to Canada Rocks too, because he's usually
where's he?
Where's Rico?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Tushka's saying Mike's voice is the GOAT.
Well, I mean that's understood.
That's other than my voice.
Right. I will throw hands for your voice. I'll throw hands for your voice. Mike, for sure.
That's why thank you. Yeah, I would throw hands for every single one of you. Somebody's got to throw hands at least for the voice. Like, but seriously, like it's been such a fun year, and I'm so excited for what's next.
Great, yeah. And any final thoughts on plugs, please?
I literally just looked it up, and my first show with you guys was January 8th this year. And so thank you guys for taking a chance on adding me as a co-host when you guys were already established. This has been a hell of a year. I've had so much fun being a part of this show and being on this channel. And just want to thank you guys and say I love you guys, and I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, well, I didn't know we were doing like acceptance speeches. I literally just plugged like the Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, I started it, and that was just
Sean
something
started it. Yeah, Sean started it.
I'll do one now.
Blame me.
So yeah, I'll sign us off. So I'll say, yeah, I'll of course shout out to Rocha. We're basically giving us the keys to his channel and saying, here, go enjoy yourselves for a couple of hours, 3 hours today. But we shout out to him, shout out to you guys, the producers, Soul, my girl Soul, John, of course, Colin as well, all our kind of friends out there, and in the Outlaw Nation guys as well. I've got to know them, and girls, I've got to know them over the last year. I didn't know, I wasn't a patron or anything like that. I never spoke to any of these guys before really coming on Rocha's channel. They're all so nice and so amazing. I'm looking forward to spend more time with them. So yeah, help that Patreon if you guys want.
We got Boggs to be part of the Patreon.
Right. And yeah, shout out to all the competitors and the all the people being so nice for coming on and nice words, and people on Twitter being nice, and because I'm on my own, like, you know, I'm in the UK, you know, often I can't come to these events, or I've never had an actual two-way conversation in person about the Schmoedown. You guys are my, you know, on my community with this, so you know, appreciate you guys accepting me and stuff, and yeah, I've loved it. I haven't missed a single show we've done. We're going nearly 2 years now. You know, look what time it is in the UK. It's Saturday night. You know, I'm here. I love it. So you know, long may it continue, and I can't wait to do more with you guys, and yeah, roll on the next show. But that's it, I guess, right? Any final thoughts, anyone?
I want Boggs to cross the pond next year.
Yes.
Whether it's not for a Schmoedown event, Boggs, you got to come to the United
Outlaw
States
Nation trip.
for something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I want to get literally the whole crew together for a Ultimate Schmoedown after show.
And then we gotta take a group pic because me, Boggs, and John Barr are the same height.
Yeah, like I want
like a usual suspect thing. And Mike, like this,
all of us doing a show together in one room,
right?
Would make my year. Anything else happens next year, I don't care. If that happens next year, that's all I want.
I'm down for it.
And it won't be super late for Boggs if he's over here.
Oh,
right, yeah.
He'll be well rested.
Yeah, like once, like all in one time zone, because like there's 4 of us, we're all in 4 different time.
I know.
So it's like
no idea what scheduling anything with this group is like. Like, oh
yeah.
my God.
So
I automatically can tell you what time it is Pacific and in the UK from my time now because of the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow.
Yeah. I learn my time zones.
Yeah, Mike, I think that's the goal. I don't care. Money is not an issue at this point. I want that is my goal for next year too. Now is we have to at least one show all together, same room. Yes, that's the goal.
One day,
come to Miami.
Yeah. The lesson for today, guys, is that the Ultimate Schmoedown After Show transcends time. That's what it does.
Zones.
So, yeah. No, it's just better with time.
We're a bit like that too.
Yeah,
I mean, we have people in the past, people in the present, people in the future.
Let's get out of here, guys. Let's everyone go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, like, comment, subscribe, drop a comment on. We'll shout you guys next time. We've been the Ultimate Schmoedown After Show. That's been the season. Hell of a season it's been, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. TikTok, you don't stop, so.
Hey, you remembered.
Yes, just now.
Yeah.